The streets of Baku in Azerbaijan play host to the final round of the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series. And the Sprint Series title is still up for grabs. It's between the 84 HDP Mercedes of Max Goetz and the 28 Grasser Racing Lamborghini of your own Blancpain. But before racing gets underway here, let's look back to the last race in Belgium. At the start of the race, it was Peter Cox who took the lead around the outside in Zolder. Harry Procek forced his Lamborghini up into second place, while a good start from Max Buch when he ended the first lap in fourth position. Dominic Baumann had to retire early on after contact with Alex Zanardi at the first corner. In a busy start, Caca Bueno just avoided the recovering BMW, but then Enzo Eid ended up in the barriers on the inside of turn 2 after spinning unaided. There was a look at the replay of Harry Procek making his way up into second place at the first corner. The contact at the first turn meant Alex Zanardi had picked up front right damage and he struggled to make his way around the circuit, he then having to avoid a spinning Sten Pentus, who lost his rear right wheel after contact with the Fortec Mercedes of Benji Hetherington. Zanardi's dramas were to continue. As he was trying to pass Alexei Vasiliev, the Russian moved across and pitched himself into the tyre barriers, ending up in a pretty sizable incident. Vasiliev fortunately was okay and was able to walk away, but that was the end of the run for that Mercedes SLS. They've had to get a new one for the race here in Baku. Zolder was the Russian GT team's debut in the Blancpain Sprint Series, and it was a shame it ended that way for Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma. While Basseng and Ortelli battled, the race leader was out of the race. Peter Cox had come in to hand over to Nicky Katzberg, but they couldn't get the rear of the car jacked up, meaning they were out of the race. That allowed Max Buch and Max Goetz to take the lead. After a great in-lap from Buch, Goetz was now stretching his advantage. Zanardi skipped across the chicane as he tried to keep up with the Vita for One BMW, but it was race victory from 6th on the grid for Max Buch and Max Goetz. With Bleekemolen and Procek crossing the line in second place, it meant that Goetz's championship lead extended to 27 points heading into the final round, and a third place for Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos, their best main race performance of the season so far. But the gap at the top of the championship is 27 points, and things are looking good for Max Goetz as he comes into the final race of the season. Max Buch is currently leading the overall Blancpain GT series, but one man that can stop him in that is Laurens Vanthoor for WRT Audi.
This year so far, in general, has been good. We won the endurance title in the 24 Hours of Spa. The sprint series has been a bit disappointing because we've had the speed all year with 3 pole positions and 3 wins on Saturday, but for some reason each time on Sunday it doesn't want to work out. I can still win the main GT Series championship and as well the team, so I think that's the thing we should work for.
Kevin Estra's performance here last season for Hexis meant that he became a McLaren Works driver. This year he's back again with Boutsen-Gignon.
It was my first race with the McLaren and it went really well. We did a podium with Hexis, so I'm really happy to be here. I really like this city track with Boutsen and I think we should be pretty strong with Rob again. We are aiming on the podium or even a victory, but I think that's the case for 20 cars here, so it's going to be hard, but we are aiming for a good position for sure.
There are newcomers to the Brazilian BMW squad this weekend. Twins Ricardo and Rodrigo Sperafico will be in the number 20 BMW.
Since 2 years ago, we have seen for this championship, and we have a 100% Brazilian team, so it's a pleasure to be here. They improved the track, they caught some chicanes, and now it's much faster than last year, so it will be interesting.
Track Speed Porsche raced here in the season finale last year, and they're back, this time with Norbert Siedler and experienced GT racer Richard Westbrook.
Jumped at the chance. I mean, it's street circuit, new country, amazing grid. I don't know what to expect. Obviously there's BOP and GT3. I don't know if it's going to suit the Porsche, suit the Audi, suit the BMW, who knows. But it's a driver's circuit, so we'll give it some beans.
The Callaway team are back with 2 Corvettes. They entered Baku last year, where it was a difficult event for Daniel Kielwitz.
It's nice to be back here. We were last year also, unfortunately not a good end for us. But yeah, it's great to be back here with the Corvette. Never seen such a strong grid here. It's really tough. A lot of platinum and gold drivers. The track layout is very good for our car, I think. And I hope that we will have a great race.
Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski are currently leading the Silver Cup with a comfortable margin, and they know that they've got to be sensible to get the job done.
Basically, we have to be intelligent and finish. And I think that's going to be the key because we saw last year there was a couple of crashes. We're in the best position possible. We have 24 points leading, so we have to be smart in the testing and in the qualifying not to crash the car and basically finish in a good position. We're fully focused for the Silver Cup and hopefully we get the title.
Chasing the Audis down in the lead of the Silver Cup is the 34 Royale BMW of Stefano Colombo and David Fuminelli.
The championship is still open. Unfortunately in Zolder we didn't have a lucky weekend, so I think that here we need a bit more luck to try to win the championship. We have to hope that something happened to number 4 Audi, but we'll try our best, try to be in the best position we could, and let's hope for something good.
Leading the Pro Cup standings into the final race is Maximilian Goetz. He's got a comfortable margin, but he knows there's no room for error.
It's never easy, you know, it's a new track for me. All of them, they are here, try to push like hell. I have to survive, practice qualifying and the race. I need only 7 points to win the championship against Blancpain, Fantor, Rust, all these drivers. They are not slow, they are the best ones in the world in GT racing. And if I win, it's really, really amazing for me.
The only car that can stop Max Goetz is the 28 Grasser Racing Lamborghini of Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek.
I think it will be very difficult. I'm always more realistic than a dreamer, so we just concentrate on the race. I would say big surprise from the beginning on that I think it was just Nogaro where we was not on the podium. With the Lambo, with Chiron, it was very successful, a nice year. Everybody knows that this is a gamble here. We will see on Sunday.
And now we're here in Baku, where the city is embracing GT racing. Good morning and welcome to Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, for the final qualifying race of the season in the Blancpain Sprint Series. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me here in the commentary box is John Watson. Down in the pits, we've got David Addison on a pleasant morning in Azerbaijan, 14.5 degrees the air temperature, 16.2 degrees the track temperature. And John, the circuit's changed a bit from last season, but it's still a quick street circuit.
Yes, it's a change for the better in my opinion, because we've got rid of one of the very tight chicanes and there's a more natural flow to the racetrack, and the climb back up to the what turned out to be rather notorious turn 13 in qualifying for this sprint race yesterday is a cracker.
And so it's the way we are looking going into the final weekend of the season in the championship is that Max Goetz is leading. He has a 27-point advantage. He can win the championship in the race today. We'll go through the who's and how's and whys in a few moments' time. Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procek are the only men who can stop him taking the title. Let's have a look at the grid for the final qualifying race of the season. Pole position, Stefan Ortelli. Alongside him, a WRT lockout, Laurence Van Thor. The second row of the grid sees Jeroen Bleekemolen looking strong to keep himself in the championship hunt going into the final race of the season. Frederik Vervisch alongside in the Boots and Gini on McLaren. Then it's Andy Soucek, fifth on the grid. Max Buch starting the HDP Mercedes in sixth position. Christopher Mies and Marco Holzer in seventh and eighth position in two of our Baku special entries. Ninth place is the Spadaffico twins, just in front of Norbert Siedler in the track speed Porsche. 11th place on the grid, Alvaro Parent, great qualifying from him in the Bitec McLaren. He's just in front of Marcus Finkelhock. 13th on the grid is Alex Zanardi, ahead of his teammate Stefano Colombo. Those two making it through until Q3 yesterday. 15th on the grid for Giorgio Pantano. Steph Dusseldorp starts 16th in that HDP Mercedes that's always strong in the race. Andreas Simonsen in a new entry from Zach Speed. He starts 17th just in front of the other Boots and Gini on McLaren of Kevin Estra. Enzo Eid and Joe Osborne will start in 19th and 20th positions. 21st on the grid will be Matthias Stumpf. Then we've got Wirth and Kilvitz in their Callaway Corvette starting 22nd. Behind them on the grid directly will be their teammates, Barth and Jan. Then it's Luca Stoltz and Luca Wolf in 23rd position. Benji Hetherington and Mateusz Lazowski are both in cars that had accidents yesterday and had to be repaired. And Dominic Baumann and Marco Asma were moved to the back of the grid. So through the final chicane they come, then they will start to line up in 2x2. On board with the 84 car, that's the car that could win the championship today. It's the 84 versus the 28 as we go green in Baku for the final round of the season. The qualifying race is underway. It's Stefan Ortelli on pole position as they head down towards the first corner, and it's Ortelli in the lead at the first chicane. Frederic Vervish has to skip across. It's a good start from the Aston Martin as well. A couple of the cars skipping across at turn 1. They're going to have to be careful that they didn't gain too much of an advantage. A challenge on the inside from Maximilian Buch. He's going to go past Vervish as they come down into the hairpin of turn 3, but it's the WRT Audis that are pulling away in the lead. Ortelli ahead of Vanthor, Bleekemolen in 3rd. We go on board now with Max Buch, and it looks as though he's just lost out to one of the McLarens. Is that the Bytec car as they come down towards the hairpin of the right-hander?
And also Andy Suchek, good start for the beach round Aston Martin. It's made up a position.
Oh, and there's contact. The Zach Speed car has been hit from behind and off and into the barrier. That is Dominic Baumann in the 76 car, and that is going to unfortunately bring out the safety car. I'd have thought it was the Zach Speed Mercedes that went into the side of Baumann. No, sorry, the second HTP Mercedes that went into the side of Baumann. Safety car is deployed after it all kicked off there at the right-hander of turn 4 as they started to go into the Old Town, and there's a spin for Mateusz Stumpf as well. That is up at turn 8, so a couple of incidents now to get rid of.
Well, there was always going to be a tight opening lap. Turn 4 is a new corner on this revised circuit, and there we see the outcome. Dominic Baumann's BMW absolutely, just the front of the car and the side of the car, heavy damage. That was a spin, and maybe an assisted spin, we couldn't tell. Now it's actually reversing backwards into the face of another car coming. So safety car has been deployed. We saw a number of cars, of more than about 5 or 6 cars, actually went through the chicane at turns 1 and 2. Now the BMW is trying to get itself sorted out. You've got cars that have gone down the escape road. That's the Joe Osborne car trying to get itself sorted out. Here we see again.
It's in here. Baumann goes to the inside line and then
hits the Zach
that's
Speed.
The 888 BMW. The 888 BMW hits the Zach Speed. The 888 then hits the other Mercedes, which pitches Dominic Baumann into the wall. So unfortunately, Joe Osborne taking a dislike to SLS's, and it ended up with a BMW getting knocked out.
There is the 85 car of Steph Dusseldorp. Yes, heavy front damage. Heavy front damage, that car.
Yep, so that's a real shame, but we've seen that Dominic Baumann is out of the race. His teammate Jens Klingmann was super fast yesterday. Now he's with David Addison.
Jens Klingmann, really bad start to the race. How did you see it?
Yeah, we were starting from the back after we got disqualified yesterday, so we knew, okay, we had to take some risk in the end, and now it was just unlucky. He already overtook some cars in the end, but yeah, there was no chance for him to avoid this accident. The Mercedes spun into him, and now he crashed. But I think the car is damaged quite heavily, but I hope we can fix it for the main race, and then we have a second chance. But now we wanted to overtake some cars for the main race and then have a better starting position. But now in the end, I hope we can drive still in the main race.
It was a good start from Stefan Ortelli. Suchek did well to get up into 4th place, but that was because down at turn 1, Vervish was the first of the drivers to skip across the chicane, and as a result, he lost position. So watch the McLaren of Vervish there, the black and orange one. He decides to bail out of it, and as a result, ended up losing places.
Yeah, he's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars shortcut the chicane. Some of them have gained position, some of them have lost because of those that were going correctly through the chicane. Whether that caused what ended up being the pinch point going into turn 4, there's the aerial view of it. You see Vervish going through, and then other cars they decide, well, it's easier just to skip through. Now, have they made up positions or not? Of course, some of those cars were the very cars that then became involved in the incident going into turn 4.
Yeah, Dominic Baumann was one that skipped right across, and then I don't know how Baumann managed to get in front of the people he was racing with, because he's in that black BMW on the right-hand side, and he goes to the outside of turn 3 and just drives around the outside of everyone. That's very, very impressive from Dominic Baumann. And then there's a real pinch in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah, it's almost that they're tripping over one another as they come out of turn 3. Then there's this acceleration up to turn 4. You see then the first of the BMWs coming down the inside. It tags the Zack-Speed Mercedes. Barman actually cut through the inside of the corner, and then he found himself ahead of the pack of Mercedes, and it was the Zack-Speed car which tagged the back of Steph Dusseldorf, who then caught Barman, who was slipping down the outside. Probably thought he was doing it unseen.
So let's have a look at the replay on board with Maximilian Buch coming down into the first corner. You'll see Frederic Verviche in that McLaren in front of us skip across.
Souček, he gets the best in a sense of all those breaking down the inside. Gains one position, gains two positions. Verviche had to give it up. He didn't seem to want to give it up so easily to Maximilian Buch as they go down the inside.
But Verviche managed to hold on to this place. So Buch's got the inside into 3, but look at Verviche going around the outside there.
The reason Andy Souček braked, because he's having to check up. Then Buch had to check up, and Verviche had gone down the outside and just literally used the wide line around the very open turn 3 on the outside. There's a big runoff. He used all that and then back up into 4th place.
The safety car pulls in, and we're about to go racing again here in Azerbaijan. We go green, and it's Stefan Ortelli who's leading the way. Laurens Vanthoor in 2nd place. 3rd is Jeroen Bleekemolen in the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. 4th place is Andy Souček in the Aston Martin. 5th is Verviche. 6th is Max Buch. 7th place is Christopher Mies, and in 8th place is Marcus Winkelhock as they dive down into the first chicane. And it's great to get racing back underway here on the streets of Azerbaijan. But what will Laurens Vanthoor try and do about Stefan Ortelli? The two teammates up front. A little look from Andy Souček, a bigger look from Christopher Mies, trying to get past Maximilian Buch down into the hairpin. He's not quite close enough as they come down into turn 3. We go on board with Buch, and he's getting more pressure from behind than he is attacking Frederic Verviche in front. Now we come into turn 4, the right-hander that takes us out onto Mikhail Usanov Street and out into the Old Town.
Well, for Maximilian Buch, his job is relatively easy. It's Jeroen Bleekemolen in 3rd place, who's got all the hard work to do. He really needs to get to the front, get ahead of these two Audis in 1st and 2nd place. And the BMW at turn 7.
And that is the 30 BMW, so this time it's the Sperfico twins who are in the wall up there. Oh, a lock-up from Jeroen Bleekemolen, and not quite a room, and that's another ABS failure.
I was going to say, is that another? We saw that happen in qualifying yesterday.
Into the pits has come Ricardo Sperfico in that Brazilian BMW, and he was challenging with Marco Asma coming up towards the left-hander. That's ambitious. He's gone to the inside, but has he just left his braking too late and he's not going to get it done?
Yes, I mean, basically he's on the inside, he's narrowed off the angle of the corner, and he just had too much speed. He couldn't slow the car down sufficiently, and just overran the corner, damaged the right front of the car. You can see the bodywork is damaged. He's getting out of the car as we go back up
That's
the
a
hill.
move from the Zack-Speed Mercedes. And Maximilian Buch is past Verviche, so Max Buch is up into 5th position. So if things stay how they are, I believe that means Max Goertz will become the Blancpain Sprint Series champion. But we've still got 39 minutes of racing to go. He must have done it around the sort of second half of that lap. And Max Buch in the HDP car is up into 5th place.
Good drive by the young German to make that pass. Not easy. Large car, the Mercedes-Benz, not a huge amount of room around this racetrack. Couple of good shots to overtake.
But here's a look up the inside, and Verviche is coming back at Buch and is back into 5th place. So this is a very nice battle that's brewing over 5th position.
This is the replay. Forwarded. Did he ever?
Wow, and that's taken some of the rear wing off, hasn't it?
So that's the reason why that Verviche got through, because damage to the rear of the car from the young German in the exit of turn 7.
Well, that could be very interesting to see what Buch's pace is like now. Here will next come Verviche through the quick right-hander of 9, and Buch, look at that, he's all over the place. He's got downforce problems.
Gone.
There's Max Goertz, looking like he's getting ready to take over. Here's a challenge coming down into the hairpin from Alvaro Parente. Oh, and he's hit Zanardi. Zanardi's in the wall. Alex Zanardi will be out of the race with that. He got clipped by Alvaro Parente coming down into the hairpin, and the BMW has been spat into the tyre barriers on the inside line. So into the pits comes Maximilian Buch. He's going to hand over to his teammate Max Goertz, and they again are coming in at a different time to everyone else. That worked for them in Zolder. They gained about 2 seconds in Zolder by coming into the pits when no one else was there.
Change of tyres, but no one's looking at the rear wing at all. I don't know whether they're going to see if there's anything they can do with it to secure it any further as we get the number 2 Audi in as well.
Yeah, René Rast is going to take over from Enzo Ede, but they were running a long way further down the order. How is this pit stop working out? A pretty strong one for HDP. That's number 2 Audi, a long way down, but it looks as though that was a good stop for HDP. And there is Alex Zanardi being towed away out of the race, unfortunately. Let's have a look at it again.
Yeah, I mean, the tag even comes before they get turned into the corner. Under brakes, mistake from Alvaro Parent, hits the back of the BMW. He's on the inside, trying to consolidate or make a position.
So there comes Cesar Ramos back into the fray. Where is that HTP Mercedes? That's the big question. As he comes down into the first corner, he did have sort of 5 or 6 seconds over the HTP car of Max Goetz. There is Blancpain getting out of the way as quickly as possible. Just got to pull out the jacks and then away we go. So let's see where they're going to come out compared to the other cars that we've got out there. Out comes Harry Procek, and he's all by himself at the moment. And is that the #1 car that he's in front of? Yes. So Procek at the moment is up in front of Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor's car, which means they're also obviously still ahead of Max Buch and Max Goetz, and that is delight for the Grasser Racing team. Because here come our race leaders. Are they still in the pits? Are they coming out of the pits? There comes Riquelme out of the pits now, and these two are going side by side for the lead. Ramos is through. Cesar Ramos is into what I think will be the lead of the race, but we're not quite sure where the Aston and the Audi have filtered back in at the moment.
The bonnet really is a problem. This is the problem I've been picking up on for the last. Now it is a problem, and this is going to be a big issue. 9 minutes remaining. Oh, and bodywork in the front splitter, the hold on as wheels coming off the wagon is, look at that, coming down into turn 10.
Well, that is not good news.
Look at even the splitter and the bumping on the ground. So I think we're going to see Harry Procek. If he can hang on here, he's got less than a second of a gap between Adam and Johnny Adams gone through into second place. So they're down to third place. Procek third. Fourth place, René Rast, who's going to catch him. So it's all, we've seen the problems for the championship leading car. Now we're seeing problems for the championship chasing car.
They have got to finish in the top 4 if they want to keep the fight alive going into the final race of the season. It's almost turning into who doesn't want to win this sprint title. So here is Harry Procek running in third position. He's got René Rast now right behind him. So René Rast is about to guide that car into the top 3. But then what's the gap back? Through goes René Rast, then up the inside. What's the gap back to Riquelme? It's 6 seconds, but we've only got 7 minutes to go, and they've got to finish in the top 4, which is where they are now, if they want to keep their hopes alive. The gap is 27 points. With HTP not scoring, that means that a 4th place finish will give them 3 points, which brings the gap down to 24 points, which means it is doable in the final race, where there's 25 points up for grabs.
And it is just... predictability is so unpredictable in this race, with just the point that Jerome Meleka-Mullen is saying. We've seen cars running the curbs, particularly in turns 11 and 12, where they're actually aggressively running that curb. That's caused the damage to the Lamborghinis, affecting other teams and cars less. Yes, that was the Parent.
And that is Alvaro Philippe Salaquartin out the wheel, just getting out of their way. But the Callaway Corvette is through. So Daniel Kielwitz has got past Lucas Wolff, and we're about to find out where. This is coming into turn 4. He's gone to the outside of turn 4. Good work from Kielwitz there. Spooked Lucas Wolff a little bit.
Yeah, caught him, in fact, a bit of body contact, but the Corvette was on the outside. There's the contact, sort of a snooker ball effect, and put the Corvette into position. That's a racing incident. No one's going to complain about it.
But where is... And look, here comes Riquelme. Here comes Stefan Riquelme. Car 28 must pit for repairs, says Race Control. So that's an interesting one that Race Control have decided to...
Well, they've determined the championship.
Yeah.
There it is, the gaffer team. They've got it ready. But there's so much of the bodywork in the front of the car that it's all sort of...
It's not a flapping part, is it? It's the whole front of the car.
Body section, the carbon fiber body section, is actually detached. So how you attach it, reattach it with gaffer tape and hope it's going to stay in place. But all that's going to happen is Harry Procek's falling down the standings. He's going to be out of the points, but he is out of the points in effect by the time the next 3 cars come past the start-finish line.
What a disaster for the Grasser Racing team. They stick on a bit of tape. Through goes Max Buch and Max Goetz. That doesn't really matter because that's just a 9th position now for Buch and Goetz. It's still not enough for them to score points, but the Grasser team needed to finish in the top 4 to keep the championship hopes alive going into the final race. Johnny Adam closes the gap to 1.9 seconds, but that's going to be a one to watch in the main race later on. If they're starting on the front row of the grid, that Andy Soucek, Johnny Adam, Beechstein, Aston could be very, very feisty indeed as Ramos comes down into the left-hander of turn 3. I don't think there's quite enough time, is there, for Johnny Adam to close in, unless we get some bizarre goings-on with the Corvette that they're about to come and lap. Cesar Ramos flashes through the final chicane into the left-hander of turn 13, and he is going to take victory and win the qualifying race. Great drive from Ramos and Vanthor.
Now we won on Sunday.
And now he says we want to win on Sunday, because it's been so often they've won the qualifying race. Across the line comes Stefan Rakelmi, third place for he and Stefan Ortelli, after Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek finish in second place. Fourth place is going to be René Rast, after a really strong drive from the German to climb through the order. But ninth, and out of the final corner, comes Maximilian Goetz in the HTP Mercedes to win the Blancpain Sprint Series title. He is the Blancpain Sprint Series champion of 2014. A superb performance from Max Goetz. He's won GT in national racing championships in the past, won the German GT championship a couple of years ago. But now he has the Blancpain Sprint Series title to add to his collection, and he is over the moon. But there's Cesar Ramos, the Brazilian, with a very strong drive. A high five with Laurens Vanthor. There's Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek having a chat. So we can now hear from Laurens Vanthor, who's down with John.
Laurens Vanthor, congratulations. You got a big prize today.
Yeah, it's the fourth time we win the qualifying race, so this time, really, I hope I have a long time now, that we win the championship race and we can bring the check home. And I think before the weekend started, I was not so positive about the general championship, but now I'm 15 points from Baku, and they finished 8th or 9th, so it's still possible. So I'll try to make that happen.
Okay, Cesar, come in. Great drive. Oh, where you are. Great drive. Tell your story.
Yeah, it's first time here around Baku. Car is really good. We didn't have much track time yesterday because of the rain. So on the dry, I was not so comfortable still, but still we did a good race. I managed to pass the Lamborghini when I needed to. And at the end, I just controlled the gap to the Aston, who is really quick, but I think we are ready to fight them in the main race.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
Here's a look at the overall results then after that race. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthor taking victory and closing in the overall Blancpain GT Series title. Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek finishing in second place ahead of Stefan Rakelmi and Stefan Ortelli. René Rast doing well to climb up into fourth position, he and Enzo Eid. Raginger and Holzer in fifth place in the Porsche. Van der Drift and Verbies there in seventh place. Ninth place for Max Goetz and Max Buch, but that's enough to seal the Blancpain Sprint Series title for Max Goetz. Sferifico twins completing the top 10. But now let's hear from our new Blancpain Sprint Series champion, Maxi Goetz.
Congratulations, what do you feel?
It's amazing. It's my second title in third year. If you see the car, it's a wonder that we survived till the end. We took the 9th place today, but overall, yeah, I won, so it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
So, I mean, when you saw the contact that Max Buch had with the wall, the rear wing, almost half the rear wing is gone, I mean, how much more difficult was it to drive?
Very, very difficult, because here in fast corners I lost a lot of aero, so I must let 5 pass me. So it was really on the edge to drive, and I tried to hold the car on track to get a good position, starting position for the main race now. So it was really difficult, and yeah, it was really hard. We push now to prepare the car for main race, and for sure we won't finish the season as a podium.
Well, Sprint Car champion, enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thanks to you guys. Good.
Here's a look at the points then, and Maximilian Goetz with that 27-point advantage, only 25 points available in the main race, so he is the champion of 2014. Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Projek look set to finish behind Goetz and Buch. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthor with that victory are into fourth place, but Enzo Eid and René Rast are going to be chasing them for that come the main race this afternoon. It's race victory for Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthor in the qualifying race. That closes the gap at the top of the overall GT series to Max Buch for Laurens Vanthor as that battle continues. But decided here in the qualifying race is Max Goetz being the 2014 Blancpain Sprint Series champion. A very good afternoon, everybody, and the streets of Baku are about to play host to the final race of the 2014 Blancpain sprint season, the final race of the 2014 Blancpain GT season, and it's a pretty chilly day, 13.5 degrees the air temperature, 17 degrees the track temperature, very similar conditions to the qualifying race that took place this morning, all under the national flag square. There you can see the 3 flame towers in the background as the car makes its way down a dual carriageway, back up the other side, turns right into the old town for a bit, and then back out onto some more stretches of dual carriageway. An incredibly fast street circuit, 3.89 kilometers long, 13 corners, and it really produces some exciting racing and plenty of incident. Certainly if the qualifying race is anything to go by, it was non-stop action all the way through. The race was won by Cesar Ramos and Laurens Van Thor, but it was Maximilian Goetz who won the championship with a 27-point margin over Bleekemolen and Project. He cannot be caught, and he is the Blancpain Sprint Series champion of 2014. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Van Thor there down in 4th place. They will start this race on pole position. And as we look over the Caspian Sea, as far as the overall GT Series is concerned, there's 15 points between Buk and Van Thor. This is including the Blancpain Endurance Series as well. If Buk finishes 5th or higher, it doesn't matter what Van Thor does, Buk will be champion, but they're starting 9th on the grid, so an exciting afternoon in prospect there as well. There are the flame towers up on the hill that overlooks the capital of Azerbaijan, the land of fire as it is publicising itself. And there is the car that will start second on the grid, Johnny Adam at the wheel of the Beechstein Aston Martin. That's a particular pinch point on the circuit at turn 4. My name is Jack Nichols. I've got John Watson and David Addison with me this weekend for this final race of the season. And David will be down in the pits and John will be alongside me in the commentary box, but right now he's gone onto the grid as well to try and find who we can talk to. As you just saw, not many people at the moment. This is the sort of old town. This is Mikhail Yusinov Street, looking up towards the very tight left-hander at turn 7. And we see a lot of action here as well. In fact, we see action all the way around the circuit, but it's great to see the circuit going out into the old town, then back out onto the big wide dual carriageway. It really is a street circuit with everything. It has the little chicanes and the 90-degree rights and lefts and the narrow streets, but it also has the wide open areas such as this. Look, 4 lanes wide, all the way down to a tight hairpin, means overtaking is more than possible here. 30 cars were put on a plane and flown over here to Baku. Unfortunately, only 26 will start the race. We lost Marc Basseng in the number 5 Phoenix Audi and the number 27 Grasser Racing Lamborghini in qualifying yesterday. And then we lost Alex Zanardi, unfortunately, in the Royal BMW and the 86 HTP car of Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolf in the qualifying race earlier on today. But nevertheless, 26 cars on the grid. A fantastic sight roaring down towards the first chicane. You can see the grandstands are starting to fill up with people as well as flags. There is the 34 car of David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo. They still have a shot at taking the Silver Cup title, but it's a long shot. They are 24 points behind Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski, and so they basically have to win the race and hope Lasowski and Abril fail to win, or win their class, I should say, within the Silver Cup. And they will be starting Fuminelli and Colombo in 26th position, so it's going to be a tall order, and chances are it'll be Vincent Abril and David Fuminelli, Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski who will take Silver Cup honours. There is the number 1 car of Laurens Van Thor, the Blancpain Endurance Series champion. As we see the crowd down there at the first chicane starting to build ahead of the race. The race start is still some 20 minutes away. And these are just the cars making their way around to the grid towards the final chicane, which is a very fast left-right flick. The cars really clout the curbs, especially on the second apex as they make their way now back into the pits, just doing some installation laps. The pit lane is open for a certain amount of time and the cars tend to go out and round back into the pits to check everything's okay and then out onto the grid. But you can see it's starting to assemble, and there's plenty of free vantage points as well. You can pay for a grandstand seat, or you can find one of the many places that overlooks this race circuit, 3.8 kilometers around the streets of Azerbaijan, slightly altered from last season. There were 2 chicanes here last year that have been totally removed, which is really good news. WRT Audi are looking for the overall victory in the Teams Championship. Let's hear from Vincent Voss now.
Vincent, cold and windy on the grid down here, but Laurent Vanthor has a chance to win the combined sprint and Euro championship. He's on the pole position, but he can't control what's going to happen with Max Fuchs and the Mercedes. So what do you do?
Well, we have seen here last year that everything can happen. I mean, being on pole is maybe the best position, but we still have a lot to do. And we have seen that the Mercedes on the main race, championship race, was always been very strong. So the car number one never won a championship race so far this year. So we will have to push very hard till the end.
Cesar Ramos did a great job when he was in the car. Is he going to be under as much pressure for this, do you think, or just do what he did last time?
Yeah, well, Cesar did a great job all weekend. I mean, we still have to, but now we have to do and repeat what we did this morning, which will not be easy. This morning we start with 2 Audi WRT on the front. Now we have the Aston, which is next to us. It will be something to manage.
Tell me, we saw a very strong run in qualifying, pole position for Stefano Telli, and then towards the end of the race hit a problem. What was exactly that reason?
No, I mean René Rast came back from the back of the grid to the front with Enzo Eid, and then he managed to pass for third place. Then we had an engine problem, and we have engine cut, which we lost some good seconds there, and now we had changed the engine, so that car will start from last again.
But also, I understand that we saw that Stefano Telli, when he got out of the car, he lost ground during that pit stop, or the team lost ground. What was that cause?
Well, Stefan was wishing to come back to the pit 1 lap earlier because he was into the traffic, and it was a misunderstanding with his engineer, but at the end, you know, it was not a major issue.
Was he throwing his toys out of the pram?
No, he's fine. He will be fine here, you will see.
If he didn't do it, you'd even be more unhappy, wouldn't you, Vincent? Thank you.
Great to hear from Vincent Voss, the boss of the WRT Audi squad. And yes, by all reports, Stefano Ortelli came back absolutely fuming because he started on pole position, led the race, but by coming in a lap later, he encountered more traffic. There was a bit of a slow pit stop as well, and as a result, they dropped down to third position, and he was reportedly fuming, as you would be if you'd lost the lead of the race and dropped down to third. And so they will be starting third on the grid, and it'll be Stefan Rakelmi, his Monegasque teammate, starting that car behind Johnny Adam in the Beechstein Aston Martin. And we can hear from Johnny Adam's teammate and Johnny Adam himself as well. He and Andy Soucek are down on the grid.
Johnny, a great second place for the Beech team. You're on the front row of the grid. For the first time this weekend, you got clear track ahead of you. That's always better.
Yeah, that's the best position to be in. You know, the earlier's race was great. You know, to finish second, nice clear track in front. Hopefully we'll get a nice clean start into the chicane. And the pace was strong for both me and Andy, so we've got a really good chance to fight for victory just now for Aston Martin.
Andy, we saw on the race you were catching up, coming through the final turn 13. The Aston looks really good in the very quick corners.
Yeah, the aero is working quite well. Behind the Lambo, it was very difficult to keep the same pace because of the aero. I was losing the front grip. But all I've asked to Johnny is to give me the car in first position, and I said I will deal with the rest. So hopefully he does a good start and we'll get up there. But we're happy with the position where we start now.
When you look around you and you see the pace of the Audi and the Mercedes and other cars, even the McLaren was strong here. You drove a McLaren here last year.
I did, effectively I did. And this year I have to say that the car is working better than it did last year with the other one. But it's all a matter of, you know, the track change, the surface is different, the grip is different. I just know that with the Aston we have a good car which is capable of winning this race, so it's now up to us to try and make the best out of it.
Johnny, how strong do you have to be in the opening lap? Because the opening lap of the sprint race was just a nightmare.
Yeah, you have to be strong, you know, you have to be aggressive, but not too aggressive. You know, we want to get through that first corner cleanly. And it's a sprint, you know, it's an hour race and it could be, you know, made in the first 2 laps. So it's important to get a clean getaway and, yeah, ultimately hand the car over in a good position to Andy as well.
Hope you do. See you later.
So Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek. It'll be Johnny Adam, the Scot, starting the car. And there is the 107 Beechstein Aston Martin, a car that has history, took pole position for the Spa 24 Hours in 2013, which was great news, because then then we all got free ice cream when they started on pole position. So if they win today, maybe there'll be some ice cream. Last night, there was a bit of a festival kicking off just down at the Crystal Hall as part of the celebrations. Plenty of DJs played, will.i.am played, and also Nicole Scherzinger deciding against going to the American Grand Prix and coming to the Baku World Challenge instead. We heard about Stefan Ortelli getting a bit cross earlier on. Maybe he can tell us why he's down on the grid.
Stefan, second row of the grid, third place. You'd pole for the sprint race. You appeared to be very agitated when you got out of the car. I've asked Vincent Voss what was the problem and he couldn't give me a clear answer. Can you tell me why you were so upset?
I think we lost a bit of time because I was 2 laps behind the people I was lapping, and they didn't really give away the place. And I think it was the same with the Aston Martin. We were just too slow behind them, and they don't really respect the blue flags. That's it, you know, not really special. And then the pit stop, sometimes you are the best, sometimes not. But it was not really. It was the combination of both. But it's just one row. On the other hand, we didn't put a foot wrong. The car is running really, really perfect. It's a track which suits very well the Audi, and we have a car to push back and trying to win this race, and also to help Lawrence if he needs help. So both things are going to be very important. It's going to be very exciting as well because everybody wants to get onto the podium. So we will defend and we will attack at the same time.
Now, you missed all the action going on behind you at the start of the sprint race, and you're pretty much ahead of most of the field. It was wild back there.
Yeah, it was good because I really pushed 100%. I couldn't manage this gap. And of course, when you do that, you expect to go back at the end of the pit window back on the P1, but it was not this time. You know, sometimes it's like that. You have to accept it. You know, it was just a combination of both things which didn't work very well. But we are here at the end, P3. For the most exciting race of the year today, so I'm happy.
And we've seen a number of changes to the racetrack. You were here last year. You happy with what we've got? Is it better?
Yeah, it is quicker, faster, more dangerous, but better as well. Better action, and it's easier to look, easier to go quick, and I have to say all the changes they did, they are going on the right way.
Excellent. See you later, Stefan.
Great to hear from Stefan Ortelli, the man who will be sharing the car that starts third on the grid. It's Stefan Riquelme, GP2 race winner, who will start that car. In about 10 minutes' time, we will have the race getting underway. And as you can see, the grid is starting to really get formed. A few gaps further back there at the moment. The number 4 Audi of Matej Sosowski and Vincent Abril isn't on the grid yet. We'll keep an eye out as to whether that will end up having a pit lane start. They're due to start in 20th place on the grid, so to start in the pits would effectively put you 26th and a couple of seconds behind. Vincent Abril said earlier on, okay, fine, we can start from the pits, but you really want to be on the track. They only need to finish the race, though, to win the Silver Cup Championship, because as long as they're in the top 10 of their class, and there's only 6 in their class, they will take the championship. We can now hear from Thierry Boutsen, but first of all, the CEO of SRO, Stefan Rattel.
Stefan Rattel, a fabulous grid, great drivers here. Only thing that wins a bit windy, a bit strong.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly, but it's great to be here. I mean, this is really building up as a real European final for GT3 racing, with the best team from the series and the best team from the British Championship, from the German Championship. So and Baku is spectacular. We're happy to be here.
And I think bringing the race to the people, to a street circuit, for me is always great.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to put a race like this, but at the end it offers spectacular racing. It's good for the viewers, and it's good for us.
Thierry Boutsen, a contemporary of mine, almost the same age. You don't look it. What are you doing here in Baku?
Well, I've been asked a few years ago to put something in place to organize a race here. And I've put people together, and I've found the right people to organize a race. It's a fantastic event, growing quickly. It's very famous in Baku now. It brings a lot to in fact, there was no history of motorsport in Azerbaijan before. So the people are trying to understand and learning how motorsport is, what it is, and there is a lot of enthusiasm in the people now.
Well, good to see you here. Many thanks.
So Thierry Boutsen, former Formula One racer, and Stéphane Rattel, the man behind the Blancpain GT series and many other series beyond that as well. And it is really a stunning location for a race. There is René Rast putting his helmet on, and it's such a shame that they have to start at the back, because René Rast looked set to be starting this race in third position, and how he would have clawed his way from third, possibly into the lead of the race, because he has got such speed. But now he's going to have to work super hard to go from 25th on the grid all the way back there to climb up the order and try and produce another comeback, as he managed in the first session. 5-minute board shown then, as the grid is beginning to be cleared. As Stéphane Rattel said, the best teams from the British GT Championship, the likes of Beechstein, Aston Martin, and also the likes of the German Championship, Callaway Racing, as the crowd are upstanding for the Azerbaijani national anthem here. So the grid is being cleared ahead of the start of the main race here in Baku. There is the number 4 car of Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski, and it looks as though that car will be starting from the pits. They wanted to be out and starting on the grid because they would have started 20th, but starting from the pit lane, not ideal, but they didn't have enough time. They've had to change the whole engine on that car after they ran into troubles earlier on. Also, the other Silver Cup car of David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo having issues as well. But there's our pole car on the right-hand side. It'll be Cesar Ramos starting it, Johnny Adams starting the Beechstein Aston Martin alongside. Then the next row of the grid, Stefan Rakelny there in third place on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, Martin Raginger in the Schutz Motorsport Porsche. Great to have them here as well, another top German team joining us for this European World Final, as Stefan called it. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff then will start in 5th place on the right-hand side. Alongside him will be Chris van der Drift in the Boutsen Ginion McLaren. On the right, Daniel Kilwitz in the Corvette. On the left, our new Blancpain Sprint Series champion, Maximilian Goetz, and he's the man at the wheel now. Next row of the grid, the Sperafico twins in that BMW on the right. In the left-hand side, Richard Westbrook starting that track speed Porsche, so expect that to make some progress, I'd have thought. Then we've got Fabio Anidi in the Bitec McLaren, Alan Day in the Zach Speed Mercedes, which we didn't see much of, but they had a good run to finish in 12th position. Then we have the Grasser Racing Lamborghini, and that will be starting way down in 14th on the grid, the 888 BMW there on the left-hand side. Then we get towards our cars that ran into troubles in that first race. So the Boutsen Ginion McLaren here of Kevin Estre and Rob Bell was running very strongly, but ended up having a gearbox problem. No sign of Abril and Lizowski. They'll start from the pits. The 777, the car had electrical problems for Christopher Mies. And then we have a blank spot there where the 76 Schubert BMW should be. So I wonder if they're starting from the pit lane as well, because they were pushed into the wall quite early on. Enzo Eid starting at the back of the grid alongside David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo in that number 34 Royal BMW. So we are going to have 24 cars starting the race. Certainly one from the pit lane. Hopefully the Schubert BMW will be starting from the pit lane as well. And John Watson has joined me back up here in the commentary box. And John, anticipation's building. It's the final time we're going racing this year.
Yeah, it is, and there's a lot of tension on the grid. It's cold and windy, but it'll be nice and warm and snug in those cars. And of course, let's hope we get a slightly cleaner start than we saw in the sprint race earlier this morning, when there was chaos starting at turn 4. In fact, almost chaos into turns 1 and 2, where many drivers had to take the escape version of the chicane, and ended up sort of getting down to turn 3, a little bit of action down there, as is always the case, and then finally that turn 4 incident, which took out so many cars, damaged so much of the midfield group of cars. Some have been repaired, others unable.
Yes, we lost 2 cars from the qualifying race. Number 33, Alex Zanardi in the Royal BMW, and the 86 car of Lucas Stoltz and Lucas Wolff. They lost their brakes and went off the circuit into the barriers right at the end of the race, so they haven't made it out. The number 5 Phoenix Audi and the number 27 Grasser Lamborghini went out in qualifying as well. So 26 cars hopefully taken to the start of this race of the 30 that were put on the plane, but 24 cars going down into this first corner is still plenty.
Yeah, it is. There's plenty of space there for drivers to get it wrong and hopefully correct it without having contact.
Cesar Ramos will start the final race of the season on pole position. Johnny Adam alongside him. Stefan Rakelmi starts third with the Porsche of Martin Ranginger. Watch out for him. He's starting in 4th position. 5th will be Nicky Meyer-Melnoff alongside the Boots and Gignon McLaren of Chris van der Drift. 7th place on the grid will be Daniel Kilvitz alongside our new champion, Max Gertz. Nothing for him to play for. The team are still involved in championship fights. Then the Speraficos in 9th place. Richard Westbrook will start 10th in the Porsche. Then it's Fabio Onidi and Alan Day for Zach Speed starting in 12th place. The Israeli driver had a quiet race 1, but a good race 2, hopefully. Jan and Prochik will start in 13th and 14th positions. Then we've got Miguel Toril, who won the Silver Cup early on. He and Benji Hetherington. Ryan Ratcliffe will start the 888 BMW in 16th position. Alexei Vasiliev and Philippe Salaquada on the next row of the grid. Watch out for Salaquada and Parent. They had to have a drive-through penalty after contact with Alex Zanardi. A shame for Rob Bell. He'll be starting down in 19th place. Vincent Abril won't be on the grid. He'll be starting from the pit lane. Kelvin van der Linde will start the 777 Audi. Alongside him is the Mateus Stumpf car. Jens Klingman will start from the pit lane. Sergei Afanasiev will start in 24th in the HTP car. Rene Rast will start 25th. And David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo complete the grid. And I can see out of the window that the Schubert BMW is ready to go. So that is good news. We are going to have 26 cars in this race. There is Laurens van Thor. He could win the overall Blancpain GT Series title today. But if Max Buch finishes 5th or higher, whatever happens to Van Thor, Buch will be the overall GT Series.
Yeah, well, all Van Thor and Cesar Ramos can do is win the race. They can't control what's going to happen to Maximilian Goetz and Maximilian Buch. It's Buch who's the potential champion of the joint competitions, the Sprint and Enduro Cup events. So all they can do is go out and win the race. And just for the Mercedes-Benz is back on the 4th row of the grid. It's sort of at the head of that group of cars that's going to get very congested on this opening lap, running down into turn 1. Here we see the cars just making their way, the climb up the hill out of turn 10. Olivier Panis in the pits. He's even quite stressed looking, and he's only there as an advisor.
Yep, he looks after Vincent Abril. We saw the onboard there from the 20 car of the Speraficos. It's quite tricky through this final chicane to go 2 by 2, so the cars really have to slow down and go 1 by 1 and then rejoin their 2 by 2 formation as they then come out. But for the final time this season, we're about to go racing. It's on the streets of Baku in Azerbaijan. Pole position is Cesar Ramos in the Audi. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is Johnny Adam in the Beechstein Aston Martin. Then the second row is Rakelmi and Raginga. They wait for the green flag here in Azerbaijan, and we're racing, and it's a great start from Johnny Adam in the Aston, but he'll have the outside line on the run down towards the first corner. It's going to get very, very tight as they get on the brakes, and it'll be Ramos holding the lead. Second then for Johnny Adam. Third and cutting the chicane there was Raginga. It also looked like Nicky Meyer-Melnoff went straight across. He'll have to give back a couple of positions. It's getting very close in the middle of the pack. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff up into 3rd place, but that was just from jumping the chicane. Rakelmi comes through up the inside and is back up into 4th place. Raginga has lost a little bit of ground. One of the Bitec McLarens going very wide. I think that was Fabio Onidi, but now Nicky Meyer-Melnoff is moving over to hand back the places that he took, but how many does he hand back? That's the question. And will he get around the corner?
Well,
that's the next question.
He's been hung out to dry by letting those cars go through. Coming into turn 4, he's on the outside, and he's got nowhere to go except the tire barrier. He's made it cleanly, I believe, yes he has, as they make their way up to turn 7.
Look at that, it's real traffic jam as they come up towards the left-hander of turn 7. A look up the inside, and it's all getting very, very slow as they all try and squeeze through. We have got safely around the first half of the lap, which is really great news. There is the Grasser Racing Lamborghini in the middle of the pack, but they flash out now through turn 9, down towards turn 10. We're back out onto the dual carriageway. Oh, and there's problems for Richard Westbrook. That Porsche's overheating, possibly radiator damage on the front because the Porsche is quite susceptible to that. Here's an attack, and it's an out out braking manoeuvre of himself more than anything for Fabio Anidi as he tries to get past that BMW Team Brazil car. And that is the Sperfico BMW Team Brazil car, but nothing doing as they come through to complete lap 1 here in Baku. It's Cesar Ramos leading the way, Johnny Adam in second, Stefan Rakelmi third. Damage on the back of the 888 car, I think. Martin Raginger is fourth. 5th for Nicky Mermanov, 6th for Daniel Kilvitz, 7th for Chris van der Drift.
There you can see the gap between first and second. It's 0.7 of a second as they came across the line. Great start by Cesar Ramos, challenged into turn 1 by Johnny Adam, but he just held his line and got the front of the Audi into the corner first. And now he's got the lead, clear air. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to drive for his teammate Laurens van Thor to give him the chance to take this joint cup.
Down into the right-hander of turn 4 they come. Rakelmi, then Raginger. And there is Max Gertz right up behind Chris van der Drift, and doing well behind them is the 112 car, which is being started in this race by David Jan. They are competing in the silver. We'll cut that Callaway Corvette pairing in 112, and there you can see, John, that looks well, a lot like radiator damage.
It is normally when you see the steam coming out of a Porsche. Remember, it's well, not air-cooled anymore, it's water-cooled, but the water radiators are very hazardously placed in the front guards. Common to see damage. Any contact with that front bumper spoiler area can dislodge the radiator, just tear a hose, and that's the car going to be out of the race. And sadly for Ricky Westbrook, he's come all this way, and he's going to go back without very much to say for us.
A flashback to 12 months ago when almost the identical thing happened. Look at this fight going on as René Rast tries to make his way past Fabio Anidi, climbing the hill. It's Rast, that's going to get tight, but Rast holds it in there and goes through. That moves him up into 11th place, having started in 25th on the grid.
Great. Well, we saw René Rast when he got into the car in the sprint race, doing a brilliant job down into the chicane again, just watching this action, been very, very tight under brakes. Very little room for two cars side by side.
Here comes Kilvitz to try and get past Nicky Mermanov and move up into 5th place. And the Corvette has got through. Much better exit through the first chicane, and Kilvitz is past. Rakelmi is under a lot of pressure still from Martin Raginger in that Porsche. And then there's a little bit of a gap back before you get that BMW battle with Sperfico, now the man to be defending from René Rast. But Cesar Ramos leads, 1.1 seconds clear from Johnny Adam at the front of the field as the cars turn right onto Mikhail Lusanov Street and flashing through past the front of the hotel and down towards the 90-degree left-hander. It really is a spectacular part of the circuit. Lights are flashing from René Rast as he tries to find his way past that yellow BMW in front, down towards turn 8. Not really an overtaking manoeuvre there, but watch him into the hairpin.
Yeah, but he's going to make his move on the exit of 8. He's got a little bit more straight line speed than the BMW has, but what he wants most of all is not to lose his momentum as we go on board with Maximilian Götz, the new sprint car 2014 champion, running currently down in 8th place. They need to be 5th, and if the winning car, the leading car, Ramos' car with Van Thor wins, to take the champ. Have you probably explained this 100 times?
No, that was, yeah, I know, but that was absolutely right, John. So,
whoa! Whoa, dear me!
That was Chris van der Drift getting all 4 wheels off, wasn't he?
He lived up to his name with that one. That was Chris van der Drift into the barriers.
And now, here comes the attack from Max Gertz down into the first corner. He'll get in trouble for 4 wheels off there, won't he, Chris van der Drift, because he exceeded track limits there by going up in the air. And we go, this is all the battle over 7th position. And as you say, Max Gertz knows that he needs to make progress if Max Buch is to win the title, because he's 15 points ahead of Van Thor, but at the moment Van Thor is in the lead of the race with his teammate Cesar Ramos.
I'm not sure, but that looked to me like there was something in the right rear near the rear wing of that McLaren of Chris van der Drift that was loose, maybe just a... We're getting the strap in the Mercedes flashing around in the wind line, but there was something I thought I picked up on that rear wing of the McLaren. Appears to have been an illusion.
And as we said, René Rast did make the move. It probably was down into the hairpin, and he's now onto the back of this battle, which is queuing up over essentially, well, I suppose 7th to be fair. Nicky Mermanov isn't under too much pressure from these guys. Through the quick right-hander they come of turn 9, and surely this will be a look from Max Götz. He's right underneath the back of the McLaren, moves towards the inside line. Can't quite get it done on the brakes though.
Well, the McLaren was late on the brake. There is something.
And he's gone wide, and that allows Götz through. You're right, there is some trim coming off the rear of that McLaren.
I think it's on the passenger, the driver's door. There looks like it is just simply door trim. And now René Rast has squeezed past the McLaren at the same time. So that loss of under braking into turn 10 by the McLaren. Suddenly 2 places lost.
3 places lost because the Corvette got past as well in all of that. So David Jahn is up into 8th, Max Goetz is 7th, and René Rast up into 9th position and set the fastest middle sector on that lap as well. Car 2, though, is under investigation for cutting the chicane at the start, so let's keep an eye on this. Did René Rast blast over and make up far too many positions? In general, it was quite a clean start, wasn't it?
It was cleaner than the first start, but still we saw about 7 or 8 cars all taking the option of, rather than trying to squeeze through. There we see Porsche, Audi,
and
McLaren.
here's René Rast here.
Yeah.
He skips across.
Well,
no worse than anyone else.
I don't think he did anything more than anybody else did. It just depends whether he was actually able to make something of the momentum that he would have built up as he made his way down. He got down the inside, right in turn 1. This is
Rodrigo Sperafico that we're on board with coming into that first corner. Looks to the inside line, and he dealt with that pretty nicely. And there you can see the Corvette coming across and gaining a place.
What really would upset me if I was a driver, by going correctly through the chicane, somebody just makes no effort, apparently, whatsoever, goes through the opportunity, down the outside.
Where's the needy
wow.
going? And here's the high shot again. So this is where the Corvette makes up places. I'd say that Corvette made up more than
René Rast. He was the penultimate car to go through there. So that was Steph Dusseldorp's car going through. Aganathi driving the car.
And this is, I think that might have been where the track speed Porsche got a hit, because it was looking up the inside, and then it all got very traffic jammy here, didn't it? Oh, that's a big one into the back of the 888 BMW, and that was Alexei Vasiliev going into the back.
Didn't see Westwood in that group of cars, so maybe just further around the track. It takes very little contact at the nose of a Porsche to do damage to the radiators.
So now we look back at the battle behind Nicky Meyer-Melnov. This is all over. 6th position as they come down into the left-hander.
Rast up the inside. Can he make it stick? He's got him alongside Max Goetz. Goetz is going to be in the outside as they run up to turn 4. Under acceleration, the Mercedes should hold that position, and he is able to do so. You can see under acceleration, he's able to stick up the inside. A cutback isn't possible. The track narrows down, funnels down so much. But pressure for Maximilian Goetz as he's defending what is currently in 8th place.
Yep, so it's 6th place for Nicky Meyer-Melnov in that Phoenix Audi, 7th place for Max Goetz in the HTP Mercedes, then 8th place for René Rast, the man we were just on board with, and then 9th position for David Jahn in that 112 Callaway Corvette. As they flash through 9, this is all allowing Daniel Kielwitz to disappear in 5th place up in front of them. And meanwhile, Martin Raginger is still right behind Raquelme, and equally there's only 0.7 of a second in the lead of the race. Cesar Ramos is being closed in by Johnny Adams, so action everywhere after 10 minutes of racing here in Baku.
Yeah, watching René Rast trying to position his car every way to take advantage of speed off the corner to try and get a run on Maximilian Goetz. There we go, back to the battle for the lead, and that gap is down to just, well, under a second on the last lap. It had been 3/4 of a second, but you know, it's the give and take, ebb and flow of what you see on a street track. So the Aston Martin not letting the Audi in the lead build up a lead, and Johnny Adam doing a strong job.
So through they come, and Kelvin van der Linde has just been told he has to give the place back, and here's the look, and that's going to allow René Rast through on the inside. It's almost an action replay of last time around. Oh, and he's put him in the barriers, and they're both in the barriers. Surely that's broken the WRT Audi. We'll wait and see what's happened to the 84 Mercedes, though. Rast is slowing, he's got problems, so's got the 84 car. So HTP and WRT come together on the exit of the hairpin, and that is potentially going to end Max Buch's chances of the overall GT Series title.
And that is not the way this championship should have been ended, but you can see the right front, the right suspension, well, the wheel is locked. So he's going to park it. I don't think he's going to try and get it back. He can hardly steer the car because that right front is locked. It's locked against the back of the wheel arch. So all he can do is try. No, he's going to park the car, and that's it.
And there is Max Buch out the back of the garage.
Disconsolate.
Furious. He's still got a 15-point margin at the top of the overall GT Series, but that means that Ramos and Van Thor, as long as they finish in the top 3, Laurens Van Thor will be the overall GT Series champion, and Max Goetz, understandably, particularly annoyed. It was difficult to tell from the... Well, let's find out, John.
No, look,
take it away.
Look at René Rast in the black Audi, dives down the inside. He did this a lap ago, but on this occasion, then René Rast lets the Audi run out. He gets the back end, clips it. Both cars the Audi right front, the Mercedes right front, and that is...
Did the Mercedes have anywhere to go?
Well, not particularly at this stage, because both cars are trying to stay within the bounds of the track, but it's almost as if the back end of the Audi snapped out.
You saw him correcting.
Yeah, he put the throttle on, the back end snapped out, clipped the rear of the Mercedes, turned the Mercedes into the wall, and then in consequence turned himself into the wall.
Here's a view of it from Max Goetz. He looks to the outside on the way down to the hairpin.
Goetz is in effect the innocent party in all this. He's given enough room, and he got penalised for doing so. So he's done nothing wrong. He just got clipped by the Audi as the power came on. The back end stepped out, and Max Goetz, well, he was happier lad earlier on today, and you can see now the
That's
team
him watching
and his team.
That's him watching the replay on the big screen. That's what he's doing.
I thought he was hearing the
for.
commentary as well.
Yeah, I don't think they get to hear us commentating.
Enzoid's got a wry smile on his face. That's his co-driver Rennie Rast. We're looking to see where Rennie Rast has dropped down to. He's dropped down to 24th, and he's not in the pits as yet, but
no, he's gone across the line again as Rennie
yes,
Rast.
he has.
Unless he's pulled off actually somewhere in the middle sector.
Well, he certainly damaged the right front on the car, or the bodywork of the car.
I think he'll have pulled off the other side of this car. So that is our Sprint Series Championship winning car. There's 28 out of the race by the looks of things. Harry Procek has pulled into the pits. Well, those are our two front runners of the season. Well,
absolutely, and I mean, what a disappointment. I mean, if you'd seen the condition of the Lamborghini when it came in to make that pit stop in the sprint race, I mean, what would you have given for it? You might actually, you'd said, pay me and I'll take it away.
Absolutely. As far as the team's title is concerned, then as it stands, WRT would wrap up both the Sprint Series team's title and the overall team's title, because the next HTP is down in 15th place at the moment, and WRT are running first and third. So things looking very strong for the Belgian team at the moment, but we've still got 45 minutes of racing to go, and we're on board with Johnny Adam, 0.7 of a second behind Cesar Ramos in the lead of the race.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Adams sticking as close as he can to the back of the Audi and keeping Cesar Ramos absolutely 100% honest. So it doesn't take very much for pressure to tell, and there we can see Jerome Blancpain, the disappointment on the face of the Grasser Racing team. Car 28 retired, Harry Procek brought it in. They did a great job to try to resecure the body panels. There's the car. They didn't think it was a problem, but they just said after the first of the sprint race, all the bracketry that attaches to the bodywork was fractured, just literally almost vibrating to a failure.
So down to turn number 3 come our race leaders. It's all pretty much now about winning the Baku race and the, frankly, tens of thousands of euros prize money that comes with it, and that's got to be the main focus for these guys, because WRT are looking pretty strong. Cesar Ramos has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, and behind there's a great battle for third place. Rakelmi, Raginger and Kielwitz are all within 1.5 seconds, all three cars. Here they come now, down towards the left-hander. You'll see them in the back of the shot here, and that is going to be the battle to watch, I think.
Just looking at the Beach Team Aston Martin, it looks really, really good on this Baku street track. It's going to be a big ask for the Beach Team team to do an outperforming job when it comes to the driver change, tyre change, to compete against WRT, who are sort of pretty much the masters of that skill. But that's all it needs, one bad wheel change on the Audi, and they could take the lead of this race.
Absolutely, that's the biggest difference when teams step up from sort of national championships to the Blancpain Sprint Series, is you do your pit stops as fast as you can, as opposed to, you know, in any other way. So we can now hear from Jeroen Bleekemolen. The car has been parked. He's with David Addison.
Jeroen Bleekemolen, dramas again for the Lamborghini. What's happened in this race?
Same problem as race 1. I kind of predicted it already. You have to run the curbs here. If we run the curbs, the car just breaks down. And yeah, well, there's nothing we can do. If we drive around the curbs, we are 2 seconds a lap too slow. And if we take them just exactly the same as the others, parts keep falling off. So yeah, not a great weekend. It's been a great year. We've always been competitive, but unfortunately we can't finish on a high.
Massive frustration. Thank you.
Can they get a refund on the car?
Sorry?
Can they get a refund on the car if it just breaks
I don't know,
apart?
that gets scrappage. No, what's happening, the way that the car is constructed, I mean, this is a race version of a Lamborghini Gallardo, and the carbon fiber body panels are attached by clips or attachments, and on every circuit, other than that we are seeing here, where it is aggressive, and particularly down in the first and second chicanes, and also then the much quicker chicane up at 11 and 12. Just the shock loading that's going into the car is just causing these to fragment and just basically shatter, and they can do nothing about it. That's the design of the car, works totally perfectly everywhere else, but where you're having to use these curbs, as Jerome Blancpain pointed out, if you don't use them, you're slow. If you do use them, your car drops off literally in bits and pieces around you.
There, oh, it's the Schubert BMW. They worked so hard to get that car back out into the race after the accident. And is that out, or are they just, it looks like they're lowering it down, but onto the jack. So I think that's game over for the Schubert BMW of Dominic Baumann.
Somebody's gone down this gate road to turn one.
And is that our, we'll wait and see who that is, but I fear that could be our, is that Cesar Ramos, the race leader?
It is, I think it is, because that's the Aston just turned into turn one.
Yes, it is, so Ramos.
That's our problem.
No. It's Vincent Abril. There we go. Don't worry, everybody. It's Vincent Abril, the number 4 car, and Cesar Ramos is still in the lead of the race.
So Cesar Ramos was just being hidden behind the wall as the Aston turned in. We couldn't quite see that clearly. So the gap down, or actually the gap has increased. On the last lap, it's up to 1.2 seconds between first and second. It's almost irrelevant because they're both doing what they need to do. Andy Suchek watching, you can see the tension on his face. It's 42 minutes of this race remaining. In 7 minutes, the pit lane will be open. And wonder, will the Aston be one of the first in, or will they follow, basically shadow what the decision will be of WRT?
Rene Rast walking back into the pits, helmet still on. He's just passed in front of our commentary box.
He'd want to keep it on, walking past the HDP team, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mercedes team.
And walking past David Addison potentially as well. So we're on board with the Beechstein car, flying over that chicane and into turn 13. The gap has gone up to 1.2 seconds at the end of the last lap. This lap, it is now back to 1 second, so it's just ebbing and flowing, really.
I mean, you don't want always to run right under the rear of a car you're following, mainly because you lose downforce, which then will cause you to pick up a little bit of understeer, which will then ultimately cause you to go a little bit slower. Everything's done in little increments, as I point out. That what he might want to do is just drop back a second and a bit, then try and get the run again on Cesar Ramos, see where the Aston is strong, and certainly I think the Aston Martin is very good around this. It rides the curbs, it rides the aggressive curbs at 1 and 2, and certainly 11 and 12 extremely well, and it's good in the high-speed corners, particularly that very quick turn 13.
And these guys are pulling away by about half a second a lap over Stefan Rakelmi, who's in 3rd place at the moment.
He's having his best run so far. Let's look and see. Up into turn 7.
This is a look from Sergei Afanasiev going past Miguel Toril and getting up into 14th position up at turn 7.
That's a bit like a gentleman's two-step after you, sir.
They're racing in different classes, so presumably Toril, who's leading Silver Cup at the moment. As far as Silver Cup is concerned, the 4-car of Vincent Abril is still out there, so if it finishes like this, Abril and Lizowski will be the Silver Cup champions. But still 40 minutes of racing to come here from Azerbaijan in the Blancpain Sprint Series. And what a great season it's been in both the Sprint and the Endurance Championships, and we'll be back next season for some more. So make sure you join us for that. There is Vincent Abril running 4th in Silver Cup, but that will be enough to clinch the title for that pairing, who have been very impressive at points this season. This is David Jan in 7th place, yet to make it past Nicky Meyer-Melnov. Oh, and that's a spin for Sperfico. That's down at the hairpin. He was doing battle with Alan Day and Chris van der Drift. So let's see in what order they come through. Van der Drift with 8, Sperfico was 9th, and Alan Day was 10th. Van der Drift has come through, and Kelvin van der Linde has come through. So I think Alan Day was involved in that as well, because he's lost an awful lot of time. Sperfico across the line, and it's Rodrigo Sperfico who's starting the car. Here's a look at the replay, and there is Alan Day up the inside. Wait for it, wait for it. There we go.
Yep, just typical, pass attempted, not executed, spins the BMW around, and of course the Mercedes itself gets trapped behind the spinning BMW, which might say is actually some poetic justice, but what isn't is taking the end plate, the carbon fiber end plate, off the rear wing of BMW. And if I was the team manager of Team Brazil, I'd be walking down there with a substantial bill for a new rear wing for my car.
no one's done that just yet by the looks of things.
Well, I think they'll be on the way soon. If they haven't done it, they might pick up on the commentary and do so.
All that promotes Kelvin van der Linde up into 9th place, the South African, who hasn't really been able to shine yet this weekend in the 777 car, but he's a very impressive young racing driver, and he's up in 9th place in that Prosperia by Apt Racing that he shares with Christopher Mies. So he's him up to 9th, Fabio Onidi up into 10th, Rob Bell up into 11th, and Alan Day is now in 12th place as Spedifico continues in 13th position. Meanwhile, Riquelme, Raginger and Kielwitz are still battling. Here's the look from on board.
Yeah, this is the replay. The BM gets spun
most of the way around the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then the Mercedes goes around the back of the BMW and clips the wing end plate, which shreds the carbon fibre. And so back up to the battle for the lead into turn 4. Gap was 8.8 of a second the last time through, so it's just this simple ebb and flow. We are now 2 minutes, just under 2 or just under 3 minutes before pit lane will open. And I wonder whether we're going to see Sergio Ramos coming in as early as possible, handing over to Laurens van Voor. But Ramos has done a very good job here all weekend.
I think Johnny Adam may come in as soon as possible to get some clear air, hand the car over to Andy Soucek. That could be a sensible strategy potentially. But we'll have to wait and see. But Ramos has just gone quickest of anyone in the first sector, so he is really pushing hard. Went a little bit deep, though, into the hairpin there, but he's still doing a strong job. More dramas earlier for René Rast. Let's hear from him now.
René Rast, massive disappointment. What happened from your point of view?
It's not a great weekend for us at all. I mean, the collision now. Yeah, I tried it the lap before already, and it almost worked out. And the lap after, I tried it again, the same corner. I had a bit of an oversteer. I lost the car a bit on the rear, and I touched with Maxi. It was for sure not on purpose. And yeah, if I made a mistake, I apologize for that. But for sure not on purpose. But yeah, I think it's a racing accident.
That's a classic, isn't it? It was my fault. I didn't do it on purpose, so therefore it's a racing incident. Here's a look at it. It's more the onboard where we really get to see it.
Yes, and I would concur with what René Rast has said, because he didn't. There was a gap, 2-foot gap between the two cars, but he got the power on, the back snapped out, it clipped the Mercedes, which turned the Mercedes into the wall, and likewise then it also resulted in Rast attacking the ball as well. And it wasn't an intentional, in my view, attempt to inhibit the performance of the Mercedes. The consequence is it's taken the car that was a potential joint championship winner out of the competition.
Yep, absolutely. And so it's this #1 car that is looking strong as far as those honours are concerned for Laurens van Voor, but the gap is coming down by the looks of things. It's down to just 0.6 of a second on that last lap. Cesar Ramos is building it up again, but we did see Ramos going in deep into the hairpin the previous time around. You can see that on that last lap, the Aston took 0.2 of a second out of Ramos, but the pit stop window will be open next time they come around. So when will they decide to come in? There is Andy Soucek, just getting all set, ready to head back out onto the track and take over.
Look at Andy Soucek sitting alongside the team as they watch on board their computers. WRT look like they're going to come in. I don't think Beach Dean are planning on this lap, but of course doesn't take a driver too long to get prepared. But ordinarily, with a lap before you're due to make your pit stop, there is Laurens van Voor getting himself loosened, limbered up. So expect to see Cesar Ramos lead car, these two on camera, into the pits. Give Johnny Adam another lap, or maybe 2 laps, to use the clear air and try and build from the 1:30.4 was his last lap against the 1:30.5 for Ramos. Fastest laps are almost within a couple of hundredths of a second of each other.
It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do here, and you have to credit Beach Team because they were a new team to the championship in Zolder 2 weeks ago, and they got their pit stops pretty well nailed. And the biggest problem we see with new teams is they can't physically change the wheels as quick.
Well, they race in British GT. They're a very successful team in that championship. They've got a very well-established, proven product, which is raced in all forms of championship. Look at Holzer all over the back of Raikkonen, clips the back of the Audi in turn 3, and really a strong drive by Martin Raikkonen all the way through this.
In comes Cesar Ramos.
Yeah. So the Aston takes the lead. His last lap was a 1:30.5. Let's see whether he can make any more of it. 30.5. if he can make any more of it now, he's got this opportunity without anybody in front. If he can take 3 or 4 tenths a lap and then use that as your cushion.
Got
so
Stefan
Riquelme
coming in as well, so WRT servicing 2 cars at once as they come in. Ramos hands over to Vanthor, straps him in, and then just behind is the Riquelme Ortelli that came in from 3rd position, so we'll keep an eye on that. So the order was Ramos leading, and then the Aston, and
great
then
stop from WRT to get Lawrence Vanthor back
a slow
in the field.
stop. Well, I guess he came in later, didn't he? The number 9 car of Riquelme that was behind.
Ortelli's struggling to get the car started. They're having a mechanic open the door, electronics, the usual story. So time lost for Stefan Ortelli, and that again will add to the frustration that he allowed to overflow when he got out of the car in the sprint race this morning.
Johnny Adam has just done his personal best in the first sector, a 34.497. An awful lot of damage there on, is that Kelvin van der Linde's car? Yes, it is, who's now up into 4th place, running in front of Fabio Anidi, but they have yet to make their pit stops as we see these two squabbling. And they are a long way down. In comes Johnny Adam for the Beach Team Aston Martin team. So, what can they do? It was a good middle sector from Johnny Adam. Can he be quicker than Vanthor, who's now going out on fresh but cold tyres?
Yeah, and they're one of the earlier teams in the pit lane, so very quickly into the blocks. It's important when you're racing at this level that you use every opportunity available to you, and that includes the in and out phases of your pit stop. So right front, right left on, right left rear going on now. So waiting to see where, but there is Lawrence Vanthor, and he's down at turn 10. So he's making his way back up the hill. The Aston's off the jacks. Can they get it running? But it's a long way down the pit lane for Andy Suchek to get back onto the track. And
here comes Vanthor. I think Vanthor's going to do it. It was about a 25-second pit stop in the end for the Aston Martin squad, which isn't some of the quickest we've seen. Where is he coming out? There. So Vanthor retakes the lead of the race for the time being, and the gap has extended, and it's going to still be, at the moment, a net 2nd place for the Aston Martin, but we'll have to wait and see where the other cars come out. That 888 BMW has been smoking since the entire race, really.
I think that's bodywork, really, at the right rear. Good job, Johnny, well driven. So Andy Suchek, lights flashing, does not want to have the Mercedes. Oh, and he thought he was going to give him the room on the track to let him go through, but made a late cut. So Andy Suchek's now got not only to deal with having lost time overall in that pit stop sequence, but trying to get ahead of one of the back markers. Great drive by Martin right in the Porsche. Now in the Porsche, did I say?
Go on, say it.
I don't want to.
It doesn't really count. It doesn't really count.
I've said it so much, I can't do it again.
Oh, and the Boots and Gignon McLaren has come out just in front of the Porsche, now in the hands of Kevin Estre, so that won't actually be too slow a vehicle, I wouldn't have thought, for Ragginger to deal with as they come down to the hairpin. Is Estre letting him through or defending the position?
He's defending. Yep. He's not letting anybody through, but believe me.
And that'll frustrate Ragginger because he's losing time, and 3rd place is up for grabs because of that slow pit stop from Ortelli. 2nd place might even be up for grabs because of the reasonably slow pit stop for the Beach Team Aston Martin squad. So Ragginger will be ragging it to try and get past the Kevin Estre driven McLaren in front of him. Half an hour to go, so we're only halfway through this race. It seems to have been going on for quite a while, and also Ragginger needs to be careful because right up behind him still is Daniel Kilvitz, and that'll be an interesting battle in the pits. In comes Fabio Anidi to hand over to Giorgio Pantano, and they were running further down in the lower reaches of the top 10, so not a vital pit stop this as they go on to the front right, but still the Bitech McLaren heads back out onto the track. A lot of wheel spin as he tries desperately to find some grip. And where is this going to bring out Giorgio Pantano? We'll wait and see as we go to the pit lane exit. Oh, and that's a retirement for the looks of things. The number 30 car of Paoludo has come to a stop, and that's down at the first corner. So I can only imagine that's a mechanical.
It would certainly look like it. Stopped in a rather unfortunate position right in the middle of the bales that acts as the escape chute. But Andy Suchek, fastest first sector time of anybody in his 2nd flying lap. still in effect running in second place behind Laurens Vanthoor, but 6.5 seconds behind the Audi.
Ragginger into the pits to hand over to Marco Holzer. So this is a very, very interesting pit stop, and it'll be curious to see. It should bring them out in a net third place behind the Aston Martin, who's having to do battle with Fuminelli and Colombo. But will it bring them out in front of the number 9 Audi? I'd have thought so, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, so anyway, the Aston gets through past the BMW without too much difficulty. There we see the Porsche coming off the jacks. Gap this
Porsche's
time.
still on the jacks. Troubles for the Schutz Motorsport squad. Not the best pit stop in the world. Ragginger saying, go, 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 go. And he heads out. There's the Aston all the way down, but it was the battle with Ortelli. And there is the Porsche coming out of the pits now. And has the number 9 Ortelli car come across the line? Yes, I think it just did. So we'll wait and see where Ragginger is compared to everyone. There's our race leader, though, Laurens Vanthoor. And then, but there is the number 9 Audi by the looks of things, the WRT car. There's the 888 BMW coming through. And so Vanthoor it is, who's in the lead net for the time being.
Well, we presumably assume that's going to be Vanthoor who ultimately will take the lead, because the gap that the Porsche was behind, once the pit stops washed out, would see Radiger, and of course time lost for Marco Holzer to get back into this field. You can't afford to lose time with a right front not locating properly. Andy Soucek, and behind him.
So that is the number 4 Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski car. And now into the pits comes Daniel Kilvitz then. He is handing over to his teammate in that 110 Callaway Corvette of Andreas Wirth. If they can get a quicker pit stop here, they should be able to leapfrog that Porsche that had the slow stop. So we'll wait and see how that transpires. Up into the chicane there came the number 9 Stefan Ortelli Audi. There he is. We've got him, and he is then up into third place still, despite that slow pit stop. He has managed to hold on, but where's Kilvitz going to come out? He's going to come out behind the Porsche. So through comes Marco Holzer. That's a net 4th position then for Marco Holzer, although Markus Winkelhock actually is up there as well in the Audi. So Phoenix have done a great turnaround, and I think Markus Winkelhock is up into 4th position. We haven't seen him yet, but we'll try and pick up that Phoenix Audi and find out where he is on the circuit, because it looks, according to the timing screens, as though he's managed to get into 4th place.
And not only that, he's done the fastest sector of all in sector 2. So Markus Winkelhock, last lap 130.
There he is, coming through there. So we just saw Winkelhock disappear through, and that means he's in 4th position. There he is. We've found him, and he's closing in on Stefan Ortelli for 3rd place. Well, fastest first sector of anyone for the 16 car of Frederic Vervisch in 7th place in the Boots and Gignon McLaren. So we'll give you a rundown as all the cars have completed their pit stops now. Laurens Vanthoor leads the way in the WRT Audi. Andy Soucek 2nd in the Beechstein Aston Martin. 3rd is Stefan Ortelli in the WRT Audi. 4th is that man there, Markus Winkelhock in the Phoenix Racing Audi. 5th is Marco Holzer. 6th is Daniel Kilvitz. 7th is the Boots and Gignon McLaren of Frederic Vervisch.
There's a happy Nicky Merriamel up for a change. Yeah, we got it, Nicky.
He's saying maybe we can get P3, and well, it'll be nice to see the Phoenix doing a good job with all of their commitment this year. They haven't quite had the results that give them that sort of razzmatazz, but they've had a strong season, if not getting the results at the end of it.
No, we got Markus Winkelhock having to get past some of the other Audis. 14.7 seconds. Winkelhock is behind Stefan Ortelli. It's a big ask with 24 minutes of the race remaining.
The team manager of car 13 has been asked to go to the race control, and that is of the Zach Speed car, which was involved in that incident with the Brazilian BMW that we saw earlier on. So now this is going to be an interesting battle as Markus Winkelhock attempts to close in on Stefan Ortelli in the battle over 3rd place. Here coming out is the 2nd place Aston Martin. No, sorry, that's the GT Racing Vasiliev car. And then we've got this battle over 3rd. Stefan Ortelli ahead of the Phoenix Audi of Markus Winkelhock. Then it's the back-marking number 4 car of Mateusz Lasowski, who's still running 4th in class and still looking set to win the Silver Cup for he and Vincent Abril.
Lawrence Van Voor's responding to any pressure he might have felt from Andy Soucek. First driver in this race to dip below a 1 minute 30-second lap. There is our race leader, 1 minute 29.595, and he's just, well, doing what we know Lawrence Van Voor can do, just drive away, especially when he's in the lead of a race from the rest of the field.
Yep, absolutely. He's got a 7.8 second advantage, and if things stay how they are, he will be the overall Blancpain GT champion of 2014, and fingers crossed for
Cesar Ramos has been a really good, in the last number of races in particular, driving partner to Laurent Van Voor. He's really done a strong job for a young guy who's learning this craft against one of the best in the world.
And can Van Voor and Ramos win in the main race for the first time this season? They've won 4 qualifying races, had 3 pole positions, but have never won the main race in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Second place for Andy Soucek, fastest first sector of anyone, but he and Van Voor are so evenly matched. If they were nose to tail, it would be a great fight. When there's 8 seconds between them, there's not a huge amount that can be done. And coming up to traffic now is Stefan Ortelli, so that could be the chance that Marcus Winkelhock needs to try and get past, because look at this queue, it's all behind Fuminelli, Osborne and Marco Asma. Well, Marco Asma's got past both of them, so he's up into 7th place. Then it's Fuminelli and Joe Osborne. They're doing battle over 2nd place in the Silver Cup, and there is a rotation. And
down to turn 1.
Yep, that's for the 110 car of Kielwitz and Wirth. So they were running very high up in the field. They were up in 5th place. They'd come out in front of the Porsche of Marco Holzer, so they've now dropped well down the field. Flashing through. 61, Alvaro Parent, right up behind the back of Ricardo Sperrofico. There's battles everywhere, aren't there? It's really intense out there on the streets of Baku as Alvaro Parent tries to get past Sperrofico and Dusseldorp, and that would ultimately give him a 12th position. With 22 minutes to go, there is the Corvette being retired. What a shame for that car. They'd done so well to be running strongly, but it looks like it's game over for Callaway.
And good to have them here this weekend. These are 2 strong cars. And that rumble from the Detroit V8s is a treat. Soucek still fastest first sector time by a 1,000th of a second. Gap 7.5 seconds. But this is the battle now for 3rd place. Stefan Ortelli under pressure from Marcus Winkelhock, and Ortelli is not the easiest person to pass. He's gone defensive up into turn 7. Not a place where 2 competitive cars would try to pass, but just showing intent from Ortelli. I'm not giving it up.
Car 13 has been given a drive-through penalty, the Zach Speed Mercedes, after Alan Day spun around that Brazilian BMW car. Here are the points standings at the moment, and this is the prediction, and that would mean that Van Voor would win by 10 points over Maximilian Buch. Buch, nothing he can do about it, he's out of the race. Ortelli moves to the inside to pass the BMW of Fuminelli and Colombo, and Marcus Winkelhock stays with him, so that was good work from the BMW to get out of the way there. Let's see what happens when they come up on the back of the 888 BMW in a couple of moments' time.
Of course, Ortelli very late on his brakes, not giving any opportunity whatsoever to Marcus Winkelhock down into turn 10. Flat out now through this long increasing speed, turn 13. Still no opportunity for Marcus Winkelhock down into turns 1 and 2, but you just sense it's not if, but more when.
How difficult is it? So the 888 car's just received a blue flag saying, you know, you've got to let these people through, but how, look at that, Winkelhock going all the way around in the back of Ortelli. Ortelli must be getting dizzy looking in his mirrors at that.
I mean, all you're trying to do is cause distraction, cause the driver to look one way, not then the other way. So he will, as Ortelli is having to do, they're gauging where they're going to come up against the BMW, and they want to try and do it in a place where you can either gain an advantage or not lose ground. And up into turn 7, I don't think Ortelli's going to do something up the inside. He wasn't far enough up.
It's Joe Osborne.
You've now got Winkelhock right on the tail of the BMW, of the Audi of Ortelli. A possibility for Winkelhock to try and make a manoeuvre at the same point that Ortelli's trying to get past the BMW.
So let's see what Joe Osborne does here in the 888 car. Will he stick to the outside and let Ortelli through on the inside line? Ortelli shows his nose, gets on the brakes. Winkelhock thinks about following through. He does follow through, goes in deep. They both go in very deep, but they're both through. So Winkelhock is going to have his work cut out here. Great to see Phoenix matching and Nicky Vermelnov
Well, I'm
getting
not
a little
surprised
stressed.
you're blowing your cheeks, Nicky, because Winkelhock knew what he wanted to do. He needed another 10 paces just to be in a position to put his Audi alongside that of Ortelli's. Again, comes out early to show the white Phoenix Audi in the mirrors of the WRT coloured car.
So
good battle between these two established GT stars.
There's confirmation of the drive-through penalty for car 13. Up at the front, Andy Soucek has chipped the gap down to 6.9 seconds, but Vanthor is just holding his own up in the lead of the race. He's about 0.3 of a second slower a lap than Andy Soucek, but nothing too dramatic. And there is a slow-moving Mateusz Lasowski. So has that number 4 Audi run into troubles? If it doesn't finish the race, then there's a chance Fuminelli can win the Silver Cup, but they're only 3rd in class at the moment and not looking likely to do that. Up to the left-hander again comes Stefan Ortelli. Even when there's not traffic, he's got Winkelhock right there.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough last 18 minutes or so for Stefan Ortelli. He knows he's under extreme pressure for a driver who's probably capable of lapping more quickly than Ortelli is capable of doing right now, but being quicker and getting past are not the same things. Right out to the outside of turn 9 and the run down into turn 10. Winkelhock goes wide, tried to make the cut back. Ortelli having to, well, he's held it really tight, cleverly. Ortelli held the car really, really tight.
Out of the race is the 85 car of Steph Dusseldorp. That's a real shame, and that's also, there's also a slippery surface
on the racetrack.
I think
oil flag being shown. Either that or it's begun to rain, but there must be fluid of some description on the racetrack up at the turns 11 and 12. That's the chicane.
So Marcus Winkelhock, after going in too deep at the hairpin, has lost an awful lot of time. He's now 1.7 seconds behind Stefan Ortelli. That has not worked out particularly strongly there, has it? And
I don't think it's a big problem because they're going to get past the Mercedes without too much difficulty, and it gives them again. There you see the Mercedes pulls over. Lets Winkelhock go through without any pressure. Winkelhock currently the quicker of the two Audis, battling for 3rd place. Steph Dusseldorp with a very smoky-looking HTP Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, and that's Eastman. And
yeah.
Okay, so that's what's dropping oil. How difficult is it when you arrive? Maybe that's why Winkelhock went wide at the hairpin. What's it like when you get to a corner and suddenly you've got no grip? You know, what the dickens is going on? You get here and I've got no grip all of a sudden.
You don't want to think about it. It is awful. It is down to the hairpin bend. The oil has begun, and of course, making your way up the hill, you can maybe just see a little bit of the sheen on the racetrack where some of the oil has been dropped. It's never a comfortable moment when you're fully committed either under brakes or under cornering speed to suddenly come across a part of the racetrack that's got oil or other fluids on it.
So there is our race leader, Laurens Vanthor, one of the quickest GT drivers in the world. It's superb to have him in this championship because he is absolutely stunning.
You can see the oil out of the it's maybe well, that's a major engine or maybe just an oil cooler, but whatever it is, it's substantial, and it's actually coming. Well, it's not coming out of the exhaust pipe. It's actually coming. Oil's getting onto the exhaust system. So I think what it is it's an oil cooler, oil pipe related issue.
Stefan Ortelli has lost 0.2 of a second to Marcus Winkelhock on that last lap. Now that Winkelhock's been clear air.
What's going on? Vanthor, Soucek, 3.7 seconds. Did Vanthor get caught on the oil as well?
Well, he's lost a lot of time on that last lap of 34.2, which is 3 seconds slower than he would normally be. So maybe it was oil, maybe he got particularly held up by a back marker, because that's also coming into play now. But it's just 3.7 seconds between Vanthor in the lead and Soucek in the Aston Martin in 2nd place, and that's part of the street racing action.
You know, it could be Laurens Vanthor was the first car to arrive on the scene with the lubricants, let's call it that, on the circuit. Andy Soucek might have had the benefit of a waved oil flag, yellow and red flag. The gap had been about middle 6.7, 6.8 seconds. Now virtually been halved.
So through the left-hander of turn 13 comes our race leader. What's this lap time like? It is, across the line, Vanthor, 31.2. That's more like it. I wonder if it was just getting past that Mercedes perhaps on the last lap, and that's what cost Vanthor the time. 14 minutes to go. And it's Laurens Vanthor leading the way for the WRT Audi team. 2nd place for Andy Soucek in the 107. Beechstein Aston Martin, 3.6 seconds behind. 3rd place at the moment is Stefan Ortelli, but he's got Marcus Winkelhock coming back at him. The gap is 1.2 seconds now, so Winkelhock's about 0.4 of a second a lap quicker than Stefan Ortelli, but he's only got 14 minutes to go. It's one thing catching Ortelli, it's another thing passing the Monegasque.
Yes, and the gap sort of grew due to the settlement with the traffic down to turn 10. Now Telly is beginning to realise the march of Marcus Winkelhock again is going to start putting him under pressure. He's had a 3 or 4 lap gap to catch his breath and decide what I can do to consolidate my current 3rd position, but 1.2 seconds as they came across the line is going to be less than that when they complete the lap. Nicky Meyer-Melnhof, he's living this race literally as if he's behind the wheel, standing in the pit lane.
Winkelhock does his personal best in the first sector and takes 0.3 of a second out of Ortelli. Fantastic fight between these two Audi drivers, and both of whom very experienced with Audi and, of course, in other forms of motorsport. Ortelli, a Le Mans winner. Winkelhock, a Formula 1 race leader. And the Azerbaijanis, hopefully, are enjoying this action, as for the 2nd year in a row, we have had some very entertaining racing on the streets of Baku. Under braking for the hairpin at turn 10, 13 minutes to go. And that's getting closer and closer over 3rd place on the final podium spot, and a decent chunk of cash. There's 175,000 euros in prize money to be shared amongst the sort of top 3 finishers. So the incentive to get on the podium is reasonably high, I'd say. 13 minutes to go as they flash across the line and down to turn 1.
Yeah, just down to a single second gap between 1st and 2nd. Winkelhock only taking 0.2 or just under 0.2 of a second out of the advantage of Stefan Ortelli. He's looking at the clock and thinking, I've only got 12 minutes to go. Can he defend? There's the Porsche just diving down, and Marcus Holzer in 5th place. He's a further 10 seconds down, but being challenged by the McLaren
of Frédéric Verviche. So Frédéric Verviche in the Boots and Gignon McLaren looks to the inside line on the way down to the hairpin just to try and put Marco Holzer off. And as you say, this is the battle over 5th place. Giorgio Pantano is a little way behind in 7th place, and Verviche is almost getting alongside there on the exit, but not quite.
The Porsche, the back end of the Porsche suddenly swung wayward. Verviche managed to almost overrun the back of the Porsche, so he had to check on the throttle. But clearly the McLaren are going to be the quicker of these two cars, and sticking to the back of the car through turn 7 down the rather bumpy interconnect between the old town highways and back onto the modern 3-lane dual carriageway, or triple carriageway, I should say in this case.
Out they come through turn 9, and they've got some back markers to deal with as well in a minute. It's Marco Asma and Joe Osborne who are doing battle over 13th and 14th positions, and these two squabbling over 5th and 6th are coming right up behind them now, so they'll have to keep their eyes peeled as the cars arrive behind them. At the moment, Fuminelli is running 3rd in standings. Lizowski and Abril are still going. I think we'll keep an eye out on that one. Kevin Estra might be out of this race, but it doesn't matter because Fuminelli and Colombo aren't winning the class. So things looking good in the Silver Cup for Lizowski and Abril. But here's the battle over 3rd. So we've got nose to tail over 3rd. We've got nose to tail over 5th as well. There is Abril and Lizowski still out on circuit, so that answers my question. And the lead at the race is down to 2.7 seconds.
Again, Andy Soucek driving the wheels off the beach team. Aston Martin has managed to close the gap fractionally to Lawrence Van Thorn. Van Thorn not under pressure per se, and he doesn't really have to do an awful lot more. If he finishes 1st or 2nd, he can still walk away with the joint championship cup.
So this is nose to tail for 3rd place. Stefan Ortelli against Marcus Winkelhock. Look how close they are as they flash out. Nicky Meyer-Melnhof, I don't know why he does this. He doesn't seem to enjoy it, does he?
He seems to put him through agonies, but watch, good chance for Winkelhock this time. He's got a good run.
Whoa,
and
so close to the wall.
I think he might have just smacked the wall with the right rear or left rear of the car. Gets alongside again. Watch Ortelli. He's going to hug the inside of the curb, not offering up any chance. This time he does.
Ortelli loses
swings
the back
end out, and it's through. Goes Winkelhock.
Winkelhock up into 3rd place. Nicky Meyer-Melnhof will hug anyone at this moment, and he picks the mechanic standing next to him because he and the Phoenix team are up into 3rd position with 10 minutes to go. Ortelli tried to hold it on the apex, but as soon as he went offline, back end was nowhere.
Not just that, he was very tight holding it as he did previous laps, but what he also did was get on the power that little bit too aggressively, which broke traction at the rear of the car, and that was a gift for Marcus Winkelhock. He must have said, thank you, my mate. That was what I wanted to do. That's what pressure's all about.
There is reasonable disappointment in the WRT garage, but their main focus is on Laurens Vanthoor winning this race, winning them the team's championship, winning himself the overall Blancpain GT title. He's just gone 0.4 of a second quicker than Soucek on that last lap. Let's have a look at the replay. Look how close he was there.
I don't know how close he was to the barrier on the left side, but he got the run. It all began in the exit of turn 8. That's where he did all the good work. Otelli again holding the inside line, trying, but watch, he puts the power on, the back end swings out, but already Winkelhock had made the cut back and had positioned himself. He worked that out probably about 4 corners before he got to turn 10.
So maybe Mermanov can relax now as he watches Markus Winkelhock 21 seconds behind Andy Soucek in second place, so that battle is pretty much over. Again, the gap remains around 3 seconds for the lead of the race. It's 2.9 to be precise. Laurens Vanthoor leading the way with 8.5 minutes to go. Marco Holzer has pulled out 1.7 seconds over Frederik Vervisch in that battle over 5th position now, so that's a lot more comfortable for the Porsche, who's looking for a nice 5th place finish. And hopefully it'll be great to see a Porsche in the Sprint Series full-time next season.
I'd like to see 2 of them, to be honest.
You'd like to see a whole grid of them. It's called the Porsche Super Cup, John.
Yep, anyway, Andy Soucek still pounding away in the Beech Dean Aston Martin, trying to get the gap down just under 3 seconds, 2.9. 8 minutes of this race remaining. It's a tall ask for Soucek to do so. Winkelhock now in 3rd place, a further 21 seconds behind Soucek. Otelli 1.3 seconds, having recovered from losing 3rd place to the sister car of Markus Winkelhock. Holzer 12 seconds in 5th place behind Otelli.
There is Vincent Abril, and he is in the pits getting hugs all around because they are out there, and I think they are celebrating because they have completed the requisite amount of laps in order to finish the race, whatever happens now. To be classified, that's the phrase, and therefore are the Silver Cup champions. We'll wait until they come across the line to see what Fuminelli and Colombo can do, but it looks as though that is wrapped up for them now as we see Laurens Vanthoor in the lead. The gap back up to 3.4 seconds, and Vanthoor, he's top-notch, isn't he, John? I mean, he's been superb
remorseless. He just knows that car inside out. He's got so much capacity, spare capacity, that when we saw Andy Soucek, somehow the gap went from just under 7 seconds to suddenly just over 3 seconds. He didn't panic. He just gets his head down and responds. And he is the epitome of the totally professional race driver that you would want in your car to make a winning team.
Absolutely. He comes up towards 90-degree left-hander of turn 7 that brings him back down through the right-hander. And there is Laurens Vanthoor in the lead of the race. And there is the 2nd place Aston Martin. There is the number 4 car of Mateusz Lisowski and Vincent Abril crawling around. They haven't had a particularly strong weekend, but they have got to the point now where they're going to be classified, even though they're just cruising around, and as a result they will finish 4th out of the 4 runners in class, but that is enough to mean they are classified. They pick up points, and they will be the champions.
I mean, they're running around at 7 seconds or so off the pace of the lead cars. Clearly they're nursing a damaged car, or a car that's got a major problem, but this is the battle.
It's back on, isn't it?
5th place, it's half a second, just over half a second.
It went up to 1.7 seconds with Marco Holzer, and then Frederik Vervisch has clawed that back on the last lap, only by a couple of tenths on that last lap. A little bit unstable on the brakes there, the Porsche. Again, we've got that trim coming off the Boutsen Gignon McLaren. Markus Winkelhock just set the fastest middle sector of anyone. Vanthoor just set the fastest final sector of anyone, and the gap at the front is up to 4.4 seconds. Through comes the Porsche of Holzer.
And even just talking about Laurens Vanthoor, he just actually set the fastest race lap of anybody, 129.488. Not surprising on a street track. Normally these circuits pick up grip as the weekend goes on. We had a wet part of Saturday morning, so we didn't get the rubber down we hoped for. Now the track is probably at its best all week, as it's been all weekend.
Down into the hairpin they come around this stunning street circuit that really is spectacular down on the site of the Eurovision Song Contest from a couple of years ago. You can see all of the cityscape in the background, and the largest flag you have ever seen that flies over the National Square. And it really is brilliant to come here to Baku, and look forward to coming here next season as well. And if the racing is half as good, I think we'll be in for a treat, and hopefully we'll see some of these teams back with us next season as well. Winkelhock up into 3rd place. Then Souček in second in the Beechstein Aston Martin, and Laurens Vanthoor in the lead. We go on board now with Sperfico, and
he's all over his mirrors. He's just waiting to see where the car following is one of the lead cars. It's going to go past. He's going to let him go through down into turn 3. Keeps out of the way. Well, he hasn't. No, in fact, it's not even close enough to him to be anywhere near overtaking. But he's aware of the situation, and that's Vanthoor.
Yep.
Not really under any pressure to try and do anything dramatic, just under 4 minutes to go.
Sperfico still running in the top 10 after he got punted off.
Yeah, 10th place.
Yeah, exactly. And after he got punted off down at turn 10. In fact, I imagine he blew his top a bit when that happened, but nevertheless, he's focused and continued, and is now in 10th place, just ahead of the Zach Speed car of Simonsen, with Christopher Mies in 9th position at the moment. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go, so John is heading down to the pit lane to speak to our race winner. Will it be Laurens Vanthoor? Be surprised if it wasn't, but we've seen anything can happen. And Vanthoor, with his 4.4 second lead over Andy Souček, will be feeling very happy, I think, at the wheel of that WRT car. There's a bit of what is that? Is that a part of the underside of a car potentially? Just on the exit of the chicane. It's off the racing line, so should be able to get away with that. It's 100,000 euros for Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos if they win this race, so they'll be even happier because of that. And they're still closing in on Ricardo Sperfico, one of the two Brazilian twins, driving that number 20 car. Great to have them here in the series. It's usually Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez, but there's a race in Brazil that they are competing in this weekend, so the Sperfico twins have joined in. And there is someone very happy to be on television. I was going to say Pierre Dudonné, one of the men in charge of the WT operation, but someone else stole the limelight there. Very happy to be a winner. 2 minutes to go. And Laurens Vanthoor driving superbly. And well, there we can see Vincent Voss saying, please, can number 20 let him go? He's done, Vincent. You don't need to worry. He's got past. And Vincent returns to the WRT garage. And there's always a bit of danger that with the chasing Andy Souček, that any slight mistake is going to be capitalized on with a driver like Andy Souček. And they flash through, and that piece of undercarriage has been removed from the circuit by the looks of things, so that's good work by the marshals. Final lap of the race now for Laurens Vanthoor. We go on board with Andy Souček across the first chicane. He's got the car up in front of him of Ricardo Sperfico as well. Third place is Marcus Winkelhock. Fourth is Stefan Ortelli. Fifth for Marco Holzer. Sixth for Chris van der Drift. Seventh for Pantano. Eighth is Bart. Ninth is Mies. And 10th is Sperfico. Up comes the Beechstein car. And Souček has worked so hard this weekend, and Cesar Ramos can see the money coming, can't he? He'll be handed a very big check on the... Oh, and what a way for Kelvin van der Linde and Christopher Mies to end their race. That's Christopher Mies out of the race. It looks like there's a bonfire going on under the car, and hopefully Christopher Mies is okay. He's climbing out of the car. Looks like that's down at the final corner. Double waved yellows, but Laurens Vanthoor is coming through the hairpin now. Perhaps a brake problem. We saw that for the Mercedes earlier on, but Laurens Vanthoor, the Blancpain Endurance Series champion, was superb in that championship. He's been wonderful in Blancpain Sprint as well, and he is going to win in Baku, the final race of the season. WRT are the team's champions. Vanthoor is the overall Blancpain GT champion, and they have won the Baku World Challenge for the first time this season. Ramos and Vanthoor have won a main race. And what a way it has come. Andy Souček finishes second. It's third place for Marcus Winkelhock and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. Their best result of the season so far. I say so far, it's the end of the season. It's their best result of the season. Nicky Melnov over the moon with that. Ortelli and Raquelme finish 4th. There's our Silver Cup champions, Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski across the line. 5th place for Marco Holzer, just holding off Chris van der Drift at the end. There's Benji Hetherington winning in the Silver Cup again, as far as the race is concerned, for Fortec. Giorgio Pantana finishes 7th, and we got some donuts from Laurens Vanthoor for the crowds in Azerbaijan. We're going to see a very, very happy Vanthoor at the end of this race. The overall Blancpain GT champion. Let's not forget the Sprint Series champion was crowned yesterday. Max Kurtz wins this championship. But Laurens Vanthoor has combined the two. Oh, that's not a pleasant one. Oh, Christopher Mies. That is not a nice accident at all, down at the turn 10 hairpin. Happy to see him moving around in the car, and that is not the way he's out the car, and not the way he wanted his race to end, though. But the race has ended, and the season has ended exactly how Vanthoor would have wanted. Last year, he won this championship right here in Baku with Stefan Ortelli, but he has taken victory for himself here, and there is Christopher Mies out of the car, but looked like some sort of brake failure potentially at the end of the race. We saw that for the Mercedes. That one there, in fact, no, it was the 86 Mercedes that had that problem. But there are our top two. What a race it's been. What a season it's been. Our thanks for those of you who've joined us throughout the season. It's really been a real pleasure. And there we're going to see a bit of replay of some burning rubber from Laurens Vanthoor. Has to turn the traction control off and then sends it around. Superb stuff from the Belgian and the Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT. Cesar Ramos.
Yes, yes.
Very happy as he waits for his teammate to return to the pits. Vanthoor, unsurprisingly, taking his time. Winding their way back, where they will speak to John Watson. Maybe that's why he's taking his time, who knows. But the Azerbaijanis making their way to the podium, and there is Cesar Ramos, the Brazilian racer.
Don't kill me, man.
You are the champion of GT, shouts Cesar Ramos.
Yes. Thank you, man.
The best GT driver in the Blancpain GT series. So say the points. High fives with Vincent Vos. And they are the team's champions as well. It was quite easy for them to win the series for the overall GT series, but they have wrapped up the Sprint series as well. Now let's hear from the new Blancpain GT champion, Laurens Vanthoor.
Laurens Vanthoor, after the sprint race, I asked how happy you were. I don't need to ask now.
Yeah, well, finally, I think we had 5 victories this year. Unfortunately, we didn't contend for the main championship, for the sprint one. But this is just the cake of the year, you know, winning the endurance championship. The team has won all the championships almost. Now we had a big prize spot. I won the overall championship, a lot of money, Caesar. So many things to be happy about, so not many words at the moment.
And you can afford to buy a tent now for your Ford Mustang?
Yeah, probably. Well, unfortunately, I'm not getting any of the prize money, but I think I'll buy anyone anyway.
Now tell me, during the race, suddenly you lost time. You lost about 3 seconds to Andy Soucek and the Aston Martin. We didn't see why. Was that due to the oil going down to turn 10?
It was a very difficult situation because I knew for the championship I had to be at least 5th, so I had to come in the points. But then the team wanted to win for the prize money and everything, so it's difficult to find the balance of that. And there was a lot of oil and I had a big gap, so I said I better lift off more to be safe. And then after the oil was gone, I pushed again and made the gap a bit bigger, and then at the end I just maintained it because it would have been stupid if I made a mistake, and I just wanted to be sure that everything went well.
It was a great team effort. Cesar did a stunning opening stint. Great pit stop by the WR team, and you icing on the cake, winning the championship, winning everything.
Yeah, been a perfect year, a very good year. So now it's still Macau for me.
think the team had a very good year. We've been quick, we worked really well. I'm really happy with my team, and I hope we can continue like this next year.
Congratulations.
Laurens Vanthoor, the champion. And there you can see Cesar Ramos. Oh my goodness me! That's incredible. So Cesar Ramos winning the race. We can now hear from Andy Soucek, the man who finished second in the Aston Martin.
Andy, you drove the wheels off the Aston Martin. At one point we thought maybe when the gap dropped from 6 to 3 seconds, there's a real chance.
I thought as well, but I think he was controlling actually the gap, and his pace was as fast as ours. And I think he was looking at the mirror, controlling where I was. So when there was oil on the track, he was a bit too cautious. I risked a little bit more, which was enough to get closer, but then he was controlling the distance. They did a good job. I'm very pleased for Johnny as well, who drove a very good first stint. We are P2, it's not too bad.
Well, Johnny, we knew you had a great stint. You stuck in behind Cesar Ramos. You never really had a chance to make a move, but you never let him get away either.
No, the deal, the plan was to stay as close as we could to the Audi, to the pit stop, and it worked well. But credit to Audi, they had a fast car today. But great for Aston Martin Racing to turn up to this championship with this car for the first time in this championship, and yeah, to come second is good.
Well done, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, John.
Really good to have the Aston Martin and Beechstein themselves here in the championship. Pretty much a works entry, as it were. That is the car of the Blancpain Sprint Series champion, Maximilian Goertz. But he didn't get to finish this race after contact with René Rast, and as a result, HTP lost out on the team's championships as well. So that's a real shame for them. And there's our friend who enjoyed being on the television earlier. She's still enjoying it now. We can now hear from Marcus Winkelhock and Nicky Melnoff. There with John.
Well, Marcus, that was entertaining for us. I don't know whether you enjoyed it or whether it was, I don't know, give me your feelings.
Yeah, it was a nice race. I always love the city tracks between the walls, and the car was really good today, I have to say. Even last year we were always fast, and I'm absolutely happy being on the podium today. I think it's a nice final for both of us, because we had a really unlucky season this year, and I think this is a nice end for this season, absolutely.
Well, the pass on into turn 10, you tried a couple of times, but this time, did you really force Stefan into that mistake, or was there something else?
I tried to do that, yeah, because I could see I was struggling with the brakes there a little bit, and he as well, so I tried to push as much as possible, and then once he did a mistake, and I could use it.
Nicky Melnoff, you've got to be the leader of the fan club for Marcus today, because your emotions were all over the screen.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's so difficult standing there and watching the race to the finish, especially on a track like this where you know that a little mistake you're just out of the race. And I pushed maximum and gave the car in a good position for him, and then he pushed like hell and overtook him, and then it was a long race still to the end, but I'm so happy that we finally in this season have a podium, so we well deserved it, and he did a fantastic job. A major drive for him.
Well done, congratulations.
I'm never sure if Nicky Melnoff speaks or drives faster. Both are pretty rapid, aren't they? As they handshake with Kelvin van der Linde, who was part of the Christopher Mies team that ended the race in the wall, unfortunately, after that issue. Here are the results after 39 laps of racing around the streets of Baku. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor take victory, 2 seconds clear of Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek, but that was Vanthoor slowing down to take the checkered flag. Nicky Melnoff and Marcus Winkelhock complete a difficult season with a 3rd place finish. Stefan Rakelmi and Stefan Ortelli qualified on pole, finished the main race in 4th. Good run from Raginger and Holzer to finish in 5th. Van der Drift and Vervisch also doing a good job to recover into 6th place. 13th there for the 888 car. And then we get down to our many retirements, really. We lost the 15 Boots and Gignon car of Kevin Estra and Rob Bell. They had gearbox problems in the qualifying race, so maybe they reared their head as well. Down in 18th position, Philippe Salaquad and Alvaro Perez also pitted towards the end. 17th place for Vincent Abril and Mateusz Lasowski, enough to clinch them the Silver Cup. Daniel Kilwitz and Andreas Wirth, unfortunately, having to retire after they were running very strongly in the early stages. Not the best of debuts in the Blancpain Sprint Series either, unfortunately, for Paludo in the car he shares with Mateusz Stumpf. And then 25th place for Harry Procek and Jeroen Bleekemolen. How different things could have been for them this weekend. So that is the results after 39 laps of racing around this street circuit in Baku. overlooking, as you can see, the cityscape in the background, the flame towers up towards the left, and that's the circuit down in the bottom left. That's the run down towards turn 3. It's a spectacular place for a race, and the street circuit itself, one of the fastest street circuits around. The drivers and teams all really enjoy coming here. And this is the overall classification after 7 races in the Blancpain Sprint Series. Maximilian Goertz, champion, second place in the championship for Jeroen Bleekemolen and Harry Procik. Max Buk didn't compete in Slovakia. That's why he has slightly less points than his teammate Max Goertz. Bizarrely, top 4 in the championship didn't score a single point this weekend at the championship finale. Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor with that victory cement their place in 4th place. Enzo Ede and Rene Rast finish in 5th. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez, who couldn't be here this weekend, end up down in 6th position, with Stefan Otelli and Dominic Baumann completing the top 8 in the championship. There is the Crystal Hall, where the Eurovision Song Contest was held, where the festival was held here last night. And the Azerbaijanis making their way towards the podium. But first of all, we can hear from our Silver Cup winners. They are down in the pits with David Addison.
Guys, Silver Cup champions, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. That was a really hard one because we just had to finish the race, but just that in itself was complicated. But yeah, we didn't start the weekend how we wanted. I smashed it in qualifying. It was my fault, and fortunately we have an amazing team of guys which repaired the car all night, and we managed to participate to the races and at least finish. We had gearbox problems, engine problems, so many things during the race, but at least we finished and we're the champions, so that's pretty cool. Amazing season.
And starting from the pit lane, was that to keep out of trouble or was that a legacy of problems?
I wasn't starting from pit lane. Vanthoor is starting from the pit lane. But anyway, the race was really tough for me because I've never driven like that. I had a huge problem with the gearbox. The gearbox was completely damaged. So I had to put gearbox mode and stay on 3rd gear, and nothing happened, just to the finish.
And the Silver Cup has been a great idea this year.
Yeah, for sure, the season was amazing. Yeah, I had a really good teammate and team as well. So thank you guys for that. It was an amazing season, and I hope we look together in the next year.
The Silver Cup, a new initiative from SRO this season, which is basically for silver-rated young drivers, which gives them a place to go, because more and more, John, drivers are getting, you know, to down the single-seater path and getting left with nowhere to go.
Yes, and I think competitive motorsport at any level, whether you've got a roof on your head or not, it's great to get into a top team, as these two youngsters have done with WRT, and to be able to then to deliver in return for the effort and opportunity that they've been given. And there is a career outside of this very narrow prism, if you like to say, of single-seater racing. And right now, GT3 racing globally at Blancpain, Enduro, Blancpain Sprint, very healthy indeed.
Hopefully those guys have enjoyed what they've seen. As we heard from Stefan right at the top of the show, there's not much racing heritage in Azerbaijan. This is only the 3rd ever motor race to have been held in the country, and so, you know, but the interest is there. Only today, weren't we? We were having lunch, and the waiter came up and he said, "Oh, you know, Formula One. Let's talk about Formula One." So there is an interest there, and hopefully it'll be building as we continue to come here.
Yes, and largely it's through the expansion of motorsport television that's bringing these events into people's homes around the world. And once they get a flavour and a taste for it, they want more. And then obviously the next thing is to bring it to your country, set up a proper infrastructure, and no doubt at some point in Azerbaijan we will see the development of a permanent racetrack, as opposed to using the streets around. This is more the outskirts, the sort of highway which forms the major part of this Azerbaijan circuit.
And there you can see the giant flag as big as a football pitch, reportedly.
It is. That is the best national flag I've ever seen. You know, we could do with something like that in our country.
Overall points, see Laurens Vanthoor at the top. 10 points clear of Maximilian Buk with that race victory. Buk only needed to finish 5th to guarantee himself the title, but it's Vanthoor who's the Blancpain Endurance Series champion and the overall Blancpain GT Series champion. Cesar Ramos finishing 4th in those points overall, ahead of Stefan Otelli. This is the combined scores from endurance and sprint, and it's Vanthoor who, according to the stats, is the best GT driver out there, and according to everyone else, he's certainly one of the best GT drivers out there. Marcus Winkelhock and Christopher Mies down in 11th and 12th position. And then we've got the Bentley trio of Stephen Kane, Andy Merrick and Guy Smith. They've only competed in the Blancpain Endurance Series, but such was their success that they're 15th overall in the Blancpain GT Series.
Yeah, I mean, winning those two events, I mean, absolutely stunning in your debut year to bring in a car, a large car, which is actually one of the lightest cars on its tyres and feet I've ever seen.
So the podium almost ready to get underway. And first up, it'll be our race winners, Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos, who will take to the top step of the podium. Second on the grid, second on the podium, the Beech Dean Aston Martin pairing, Andy Soucek and Johnny Adam. And in third place, Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and Marcus Winkelhock. Climbing on to the third step. Really good drive from Winkelhock. It's Vincent Vos who will make his way onto the podium as well. A little selfie for Nicky Meyer-Melnoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to me, the highlight of this race, apart from great performances from the first and second place crews, was that charge and battle with Winkelhock and Stefano Telli. And you know, I love that type of battle.
The Belgian national anthem for the Belgian Audi Club. Top step of the podium once again for the Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT. Trophies handed to the third place drivers, Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and Marcus Winkelhock. They weren't sure if they should be getting them first, but in the end, it was the right call. And hopefully, I imagine Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek will be less disparaging. And there is Hugo de Silva, the events manager at Blancpain, handing out the second place trophies to Johnny Adam and Andy Soucek. But the top step of the podium and the win in the Baku World Challenge is going to be Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos. Handed over. And they are the winners in Baku after a phenomenal drive. And there you can see the wind's picking up, isn't it? Those guys are having trouble hanging on to those flags.
Right now, the wind is really quite strong right now. As you can see, the flags being flown literally horizontally, so it's picked up over the afternoon. Didn't bear much effect on the racetrack, but certainly anybody standing out in the pit lane, team members, they'll feel the chill factor.
Thierry Boutsen hands over the winning trophy and watch to Vincent Vos from the WRT Club. But there's the champagne on the top step. Laurens Vanthoor wins the race in Baku and wins the overall Blancpain GT Series title. Max Gertz still the champion of the Blancpain Sprint Series, but it's Vanthoor who takes victory in Baku and victory overall. Cesar Ramos, very, very happy. Did you see Vanthoor trying to run Ramos over? We saw that on the screens. Did you see it down there in the pits?
Say that again?
No, Ramos laid on the front of the car and then
yes,
Vanthoor drove at him.
He sort of, either unintentionally or otherwise, slipped the clutch and the car jumped forward by a foot. But he was just on the bonnet. No, he was on the bonnet before he moved forward. I think it was just a little bit of fun between the two guys. But there was a whole lot of other cameramen around, and they were the ones that were going, oops, get back, get back. So, you know, when you're so high on adrenaline as Laurens Vanthoor was being, anything you do, you think, look, it's not a problem.
It's going to be hilarious. So there is the Pro Cup podium completed. We've still got the Silver Cup to come. And there, first of all, onto the podium will come the Silver Cup winning drivers, Benji Hetherington and Miguel Torrell. A double win in the Silver Cup this weekend, which is great news for the Fortec team, financially as well, because there's a good amount of money to be won in the Silver Cup. Second place for Ryan Ratcliffe and Joe Osborne again. And in third place, and not quite winning the title, Stefano Colombo and David Fuminelli. You can see their disappointment with how their race went, but they did start at the back of the grid, so that was a very difficult one for them. And there we can see on the top step, the Fortec team of Benji Hetherington and Miguel Torrell, the British national anthem for the Fortec squad. So victory for the Fortec team, but overall Laurens Vanthoor and Cesar Ramos have won the race here in Baku. Vanthoor has won the championship overall, and it's Max Kurtz who has taken the Sprint Series title. Thank you so much for joining us this season. From myself, John Watson, David Addison, and everyone here, we'll see you next season. And for those of you still with us, many thanks for carrying on to watch as we continue with the podium presentations here in Azerbaijan. And there is Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma now taking to the podium with the Russian flag, as the GT Russian team have once again won the Pro-Am class here in Azerbaijan. And the team manager of the GT Russian squad out there as well. And what a sight it is. There is the third place finish for David Fuminelli and Stefano Colombo for Royal Motorsport. They don't look too happy, do they, John?
No, they don't. I mean, they've had victories or snatched defeat from the arms of victory in this one, and really the Fortec pairing of Miguel Torrell and Benji Hetherington coming through and winning this trophy. So they are very pleased indeed, and great for Fortec, who have been sort of in and out a little bit, had 2 cars start of the year. One of them was heavily damaged in Nagaro. Nevertheless, great effort and encouragement for them to do more next year.
Absolutely. It'd be great to have Fortec back next season. Miguel Torrell enjoying his racing here, and Benji Hetherington has performed strongly when he's come in the last couple of rounds to replace Aman Ibrahim. Also good to have the GT Russian squad with us. Hopefully they'll be continuing with us. Marco Asma on the right-hand side and Alexei Vasiliev on the left. Alexei Vasiliev, a very experienced racer. And so that is the Silver Cup trophies. And there are the trophies being handed out. The winning team in the race, Fortec. And there's the winning team in the Pro-Am Cup, Marco Asma. But it's sort of, we don't have that many Pro-Am cars, and that's more, and we've still got a 30-car grid. I think that's, you know, a testament to the series that there's not that many Pro-Ams. They're mainly pros and young kids.
Yeah, and but also, you know, I think having a finale like we've had here in Baku tends to bring out a lot of teams that have been involved in other championships through the year. That's been their focus, but they value what we've got here in Baku. Great circuit, great event. Lovely to see a nation, you know, so proud to have an event at this level, an international motorsport event. And there we see the champagne bath, Benji Hetherington. He's going to be absolutely soaked.
Yep, absolutely. Miguel Torrell and Benji Hetherington rightfully spraying the champagne. Great to see Triple Eight up there as well. Fortec and Triple Eight, two big teams in British motorsport, and now they've joined us on the European stage. They make their way off the podium. And so that is our race winning podiums dealt with. But I think we've got some more overall championship podiums to come up as well. And there we can see the, again, stunning Baku scenery here. Those 3 fire towers in Azerbaijan, which is the land of fire. That's what they call themselves. And there's the Crystal Hall where the Eurovision Song Contest was held. And there on the top step of the podium again is Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor. And I think this is the Baku World Challenge top 3, which will again be the top 3 from the race. I suppose if there was a Silver Cup driver or a Pro-Am driver that got involved in that, then that'll be interesting. But also, this is the money podium, as it were.
Yeah, well, Marcus Winkelhock seemingly slipped
He's
off.
gone.
He's gone. I mean, of course, he gets soaked in champagne, and so it is a cool wind and a chill factor. So, Nicky, again, another selfie for the Family Adams album as Thierry Boutsin hands over the 25,000 euros to Nicky. Doesn't really need to eat it. He's a wealthy man in his own right, but
he's got it all for himself now, isn't he?
He's got it all for
Winkelhock's
himself.
gone, so
But don't worry, that will be going straight into the team coffers.
50,000 euros for the second place beach team Aston Martin. That's Tatiana handing over that check for the second place team, and that's great because, you know, that's a decent sized budget for a team like Beach Team. But 100,000 euros for Laurens Van Thor and Stefan Ortelli, handed over by the promoter, Mr. Harden. Look at that, away go the confetti in the whirlwind that is Baku this afternoon. 100,000 euros for the WRT team. We should go racing, John. We could make more money there.
100,000, you could blow it in a nightclub in a night.
Here I would like to announce that next year, October 24th, 25th, we'll see you here all.
October 24th, 25th, 2015, we'll be here.
Get it in your diary, John.
Marking it in as we speak.
And these guys will hopefully be back to try and win some more money as well. So thank you very much to everyone from Baku and Azerbaijan for having us here. A really superb weekend of racing once again, and it has been great fun to come back for a second year in a row. And we'll be continuing next season, and once again it'll be the final round of the Blancpain GT series. The endurance calendar was released earlier on. The sprint series calendar will be released reasonably soon. And this evening, apparently, and goodness me, John, look at the wind.
No, the wind's really picked up, and I mean compared to when I came back from the Parc Fermé to now, that is about double the wind strength. And,
let's hope that doesn't come loose. Let's hope the big one doesn't come loose.
That comes loose. I mean, you can even see the flagpole. It's probably about 6 feet in diameter at the very top of the pool. It's a massive, absolutely massive flag, but it is a very exposed part of the bay that Baku is situated in. So it is going to pick up any wind.
So the top step of the podium in the Blancpain Sprint Series of 2014, Maximilian Goetz. He is the champion of the season. Mateusz Lasowski and Vincent Abril are the Silver Cup champions of this season. Wonderful performance from them in the Silver Cup. Hopefully we'll continue to see the Silver Cup grow, because it really is a good initiative. And onto the top step, Marc Basseng and Alessandro Latif, who are the Pro-Am champions of this season. They wrapped it up last time out in Zolder. Basseng crashed the car in qualifying, so they haven't raced this weekend, but they're still on the top step after winning Pro-Am for the Phoenix Racing team. And WRT are about to take to the podium as well as the winning teams from this season. WRT, Vincent Voss climbing onto the top step, and I'll go in the middle, thanks. And there they are on the top step of the podium, Vincent Voss. Those are our champions of the Blancpain Sprint Series season of 2014. Basseng and Latif in Pro-Am, Abril and Lasowski in Silver Cup, and Maximilian Goetz in the Pro Cup. And Phoenix Racing won the pit stop competition this season as well. There's prizes galore, aren't there?
There must be a prize for the best commentary team. You would have thought that somebody would have thought of that, wouldn't you?
And I think you and Adders would win it.
I think there is one at the minute.
You and Adders would win it. So there they are on the top step of the podium, our champions of the season. And what a season it has been in Blancpain Sprint. Wonderful season, and all the way back in Nagaro in April we started, and we've had racing galore throughout, and some really great races. It's been so entertaining this year.
I mean, certainly in terms of the sprint championship, the Blancpain sprint, you've got 2 one-hour races. Really, I think great concept. You know, driver change in the middle, a mandatory driver tire change in the middle. It's just non-stop action.
So the flag of Azerbaijan waves over the streets of Azerbaijan after a wonderful finale to the season. All that's left now is to deconstruct this track, which I'm sure will take quite a while, but for the teams and drivers, that's pretty much it.
Some of the drivers have tried very hard to deconstruct it over the last 2 days. Some of the barriers have had a right hammering. But like all street tracks, they come down usually much quicker than it takes to assemble them.
Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma going for a shot on the podium. Former British F3 champion Marco Asma. We did actually have 13 drivers enter this weekend that have won SRO championships, from FIA GT through to British GT through to British F3. So the highlights of the final race of the season: Johnny Adam almost got into the lead of the race down to the first corner, but Cesar Ramos held on to hold the lead, and up into 3rd place in the early stages went Stefan Ortelli. A bit of contact further back in the pack. This was the view on board with Sperfico into the first corner, and there was Maximilian Goetz, who made it through the first turn without too much drama. And again, we only had a couple of cars cutting the chicane. In general, everyone was very well behaved. It all got a bit slow when we got up to the hairpin. And unfortunately, we lost Richard Westbrook in the very, very early stages. We also then lost René Rast and Max Goetz after this incident. The two coming together on the exit of the hairpin. This was René Rast. Watch his wheel as he straightens up. He loses the back end, has to correct, and that takes him into Maxi Goetz. The fights continued as Matej Stumpf dealt with Fabio Anidi, and then René Rast earlier in the race had already got past Anidi. And then we had this spin for Sperfico as Alan Day touched the rear of the Brazil BMW and turned him around. Took a little bit of the rear wing off Alan Day's Zach Speed car as well. That was the view on board with Sperfico, and that allowed Christopher Mies and Kelvin van der Linde to make up a couple of places. We saw some great battles throughout as Sergei Afanasiev tried to make his way up the order, and then we had a bit of rubbing as Martin Raginger tried to get past Stefan Ortelli. At the pits, out came the Aston Martin, still in 2nd place, started to climb up the order, started to close in the gap on Laurens Vanthoor up in front, but there was nothing he could do. Then the battle came for 3rd position, and we also had a spin for Daniel Kielwitz's Corvette. But then we had the battle for 3rd position as Nicky Meyer-Melnhoff had handed over to Marcus Winkelhock, who then managed to drive past Stefan Ortelli. He lost time there at the hairpin, but a couple of laps later would make it through. Oil all over the front. Here was where Winkelhock made it past. Ortelli going wide, booting the rear end, back end going. But race victory for Cesar Ramos and Laurens Vanthoor, meaning Vanthoor is the overall GT Series champion, Maxi Goetz is the Blancpain Sprint Series champion, and WRT are the team's champions of 2014.
In general, has been good. We won the endurance title in the 24 Hours of Spa. The sprint series has been a bit disappointing because we've had the speed all year with 3 pole positions and 3 wins on Saturday, but for some reason each time on Sunday it doesn't want to work out. I can still win the main GT Series championship and as well the team, so I think that's the thing we should work for.
Kevin Estra's performance here last season for Hexis meant that he became a McLaren Works driver. This year he's back again with Boutsen Gignon.
It was my first race with the McLaren and it went really well. We did a podium with Hexis, so I'm really happy to be here. I really like this city track with Boutsen and I think we should be pretty strong with Rob again. We are aiming on the podium or even a victory, but I think that's the case for 20 cars here, so it's going to be hard, but we are aiming for a good position for sure.
There are newcomers to the Brazilian BMW squad this weekend. Twins Ricardo and Rodrigo Sperafico will be in the number 20 BMW.
Since 2 years ago, we have seen for this championship, and we have a 100% Brazilian team, so it's a pleasure to be here. They improved the track, they caught some chicanes, and now it's much faster than last year, so it will be interesting.
Track Speed Porsche raced here in the season finale last year, and they're back, this time with Norbert Siedler and experienced GT racer Richard Westbrook.
Jumped at the chance. I mean, it's street circuit, new country, amazing. I don't know what to expect. Obviously, there's BO. I don't know if it's going to suit the Porsche, suit the Audi, suit the BMW, who knows? But it's a driver's circuit, so we'll give it some beans.
It's nice to be back here. We were last year also, unfortunately not a good end for us. But yeah, it's great to be back here with the Corvette. Never seen such a strong grid here. It's really tough, a lot of platinum and gold drivers.
Max Buch is currently leading the overall Blancpain GT series, but one man that can stop him in that is Laurens Vanthoor for WRT Audi.
This year so far, in general, has been good. We won the endurance title in the 24 Hours of Spa. The sprint series has been a bit disappointing because we've had the speed all year with 3 pole positions and 3 wins on Saturday, but for some reason each time on Sunday it doesn't want to work out. I can still win the main GT series championship and as well the team, so I think that's the thing we should work for.
Kevin Estra's performance here last season for Hexis meant that he became a McLaren Works driver. This year he's back again with Boutsen Gignon.
It was my first race with the McLaren and it went really well. We did a podium with Hexis, so I'm really happy to be here. I really like this city track with Boutsen and I think we should be pretty strong with Rob again. We are aiming on the podium or even a victory, but I think that's the case for 20 cars here, so it's going to be hard, but we are aiming for a good position for sure.
There are newcomers to the Brazilian BMW squad this weekend. Twins Ricardo and Rodrigo Sperafico will be in the number 20 BMW.
Since 2 years ago, we have seen for this championship, and we have a 100% Brazilian team, so it's a pleasure to be here. They improved the track, they caught some chicanes, and now it's much faster than last year, so it will be interesting.
Track Speed Porsche raced here in the season finale last year, and they're back, this time with Norbert Siedler and experienced GT racer Richard Westbrook.
Jumped at the chance. I mean, it's street circuit, new country, amazing grid. I don't know what to expect. Obviously there's BOP and GT3. I don't know if it's going to suit the Porsche, suit the Audi, suit the BMW, who knows? But it's a driver's circuit, so we'll give it some beans.
The Callaway team are back with 2 Corvettes. They entered Baku last year, where it was a difficult event for Daniel Kielbitz.
It's nice to be back here. We were last year also.
Max Buch is currently leading the overall Blancpain GT series, but one man that can stop him in that is Laurens Vanthoor for WRT Audi.
This year so far, in general, has been good.